Here we go, here we go, here we go. To the mountain part 3 here from my place. We're gonna go all the way to the mountain from my neighborhood. I got the donation there from right from the corner. I gotta say my gratitude, grateful, thankful for these donations of the food. And although financially stressed, you know, my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and got food and coffee, and I gotta get that proposition to go. And always gotta be that grateful, thankful for the saluting the electricians, the bakers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, the firefighters, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, you know. Gotta be grateful, thankful, all those. I got these from there. This is it from that, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, you know, for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors. And yeah, I got some goodies right from the corner because I'm financially stressed, so this helps me a lot, you know. And you gotta be grateful, you know. Gratitude is great for mental health, and all this civilization is a privilege, you know. So that's how I gotta rock and roll it. And androgynous Aspie artist here, supporting and saluting my brothers and sisters in the 63, the 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. Gotta add that up. 1050 plus 3, 1050 plus 3. That's what we gotta get doing. And we gotta get that rock and roll, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. Working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. And you see, that's some beautiful art there. You got some beautiful art. I like that. That's kind of creative, and it's good for the, you know, for the creativity here on the label. And that's how we gotta get doing with that creativity. And some of my brothers, sisters wearing some of that red, my favorite color. And we're just gonna drop a little bit of a stop there where the stop is, and gonna bag this up. I got it from the corner where the fridge is, community fridge. So there was other goods and there was other donations, but this is what I got for myself as I'm going to my second home, the mountain, Mount Royal, all the way to the top of the mountain, Mount Royal. You know, that's where I go. My second home, Mount Royal, my second home. A few miles, kilometers, so we're gonna be on that journey together. I'm wearing the first time I'm wearing this new shirt. It says Montreal, Montreal, Montreal on it, you know. You can see it. Thank you to my anonymous friend who got me this lion, Lion, the lion bag. And this one I got secondhand. Auctioning everything that I'm wearing, including the underwear, for $1 million to give half to my anonymous friend, although financially stressed, struggling. Here we are, and this is what we gotta get doing with that. And this is what I got to get that proposition, eh? So, gonna bag those goodies. We're gonna be ready to rock and roll all the way to the mountain. Get ready. We're gonna go on a journey together. The journey today is the 11th special full moon. Adrian Hana Dragon, Adrian Hana Dragon, Adrian Hana Dragon. Keep Monday money your mountain is not for a blessing. For a blessing! I'm gonna bag everything in this. So thank you for these. I think they're sweets. Sweets inside. And I got some chocolates, and I left some chocolates, I left some sweets for somebody else, and this I'm gonna share with my anonymous friend. I'm gonna share with somebody, you know, so I get back home nice, because I love candies, I love sweets, and you know, that's what I love. And I'm gonna share everything with somebody else, 50-50. My anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money, but because I never had any. And here I got, oh wow, I love these. These are for a full moon. It's really special to me because I love cakes. So I love cakes, and I love chocolate cake, and it has a little bit of white on it. Kind of looks like the scorpion. Scorpio, you know, there's a Scorpio woman inside of me that lives, priestess of the goddess, Hana, who loves to dance. Priestess of the goddess, H-N-N-H. Priestess of the goddess, full moon, N-N-N-H, and that's looks exactly like the Scorpio. So you got that black and white and play with that rainbow 24/7 for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, truckers, electricians, the grocery store clerks, and all involved in the production, distribution of food. And we got some of this space here. It says refrigerate after opening. Product of Turkey. Product of Turkey. It's interesting that it says product of Turkey, and distributed by Canover Marketing, but here it says Jerusalem on it. So at first I thought it was from Jerusalem, Yehuda. I was there in a past life. And no, they were not wives of Solomon, they were priestesses. That's why Solomon married that's a mystery. Solomon married the Pharaoh's daughter. Solomon married Pharaoh's daughter. So, as you know, I'm a Bible scholar, and I'm a mystic. You know, I believe in reincarnations, but I don't have all the answers. I got a goddess said I will to build right here in the North American Collective, the Forgotten Goddess Temple, GODDSS, you know. As I'm gonna put these here, I'm just gonna make a knot. And I will propose again to somebody myself. I got rejected twice. I guess the third time maybe that's gonna be it, but maybe I'm gonna get kicked out of where I live, you know. So whatever the case may be, here I am, grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and gotta put this on the backpack, gotta put this on the backpack, and there we go. Gotta get it in, gotta get it out, and here we are. Now the backpack has about 44 pounds because I got those red RED, like my favorite color, red. Those gloves, which were gifted to yours truly when I first started challenging Donald Trump in 2018, when Granddaddy Trump, of course, imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. Granddaddy Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel back in 2018. That's when Donald Trump imposed tariffs. Granddaddy Trump, you made a mistake, just admit it, you know. And I was born in the USA 3 times, once as a woman though. You get that 50-50 now, you know. Once as a woman, once as a man. Twice as a man, served in the same United States Armed Forces twice, 156 years apart. 3-star generals, 4-star generals, 5-star generals, you never see me, hear me. Say when I speak, you never see, hear me. Say when I speak, you never see me, hear me. Say when I speak. I give it like that 24/7 sun shining, and you know you gotta read that George Patton, Gray Glass Darkly. Gotta be grateful, I'm happy, joyous for that sweets, and I gotta get back by 6 p.m. and may do some math with my anonymous friend, because I love doing some mathematics, you know, and I love math. And you know the problem is with me that I have Asperger's, so I have this neurological mental divergent condition called Asperger's, so I'm an Aspie. So what does that mean, being an Aspie? Being an Aspie is of course that I see the world differently, and we have these mutations of the brain. So due to several mutations of the brain, our brain has these mutations. So an Aspie brain is made different. We have these mutations at the micro level, of course. It's not big brain mutations, but it's enough to account for the difference in how we perceive and interact with the world. So we're not a lot of people in the world, Aspies. We are approximately 0.44%, so it's less than half of a percent, less than 1%. So I'm part of this tiny small fraction of a community, and I've been diagnosed and told for many years, and until about 3.5 years ago I accepted it because I didn't want to wear the stigma, the label, because there's still a lot of demystification to do, you know, because just socially in the social interactions we tend to be more difficult in the way we interact with people, with communications and social interactions can be difficult, you know, because we are prone to special characteristics, and they're not symptoms. Symptoms is for a mental illness. I love that. That's pretty cool. So symptoms is for a mental illness, but Asperger's is not a mental illness. It's been merged with autism, HFA, high functioning autism. It's these brain mutations that make us different, and we can have certain characteristics. And those characteristics are, of course, things such as repeating things twice, 3 times, you know. Twice, 3 times, or, you know, twice the same sentence, the same phrase, or we might have echolalia. Some Aspies more than others, of course. As an individual Aspie, part of this tiny small minority, I sometimes have this characteristic of echolalia, which can seem offensive to certain individuals who don't know what Asperger's is, and it's not by volition or ill, or because we're malicious or cruel or want to trigger, but it's just our brains are different, and so we process information in a very different way, and we interact socially in a more awkward, weird sometimes, for some bizarre, for some manner, you know. So echolalia is basically repeating the same phrase or sentence verbatim per verbatim. So somebody might say a phrase such as, I really love the beautiful stairs of this building, and I would say, I really love the beautiful stairs of this building. So that person would be like, just said exactly the same words as I said. It's you know what I mean? So those are the characteristics. You just have to Google and check Asperger's, characteristics of Asperger's, although some might use symptoms of Asperger's. I use characteristics, and some might label it, of course, as a dysfunction or disorder. It's not necessarily a disorder, or yes, in certain things we can be quite disorderly or semi-similarly disorganized. because of our special interests preoccupy our brain capacity. So Aspies, we have these special interests, and these special interests preoccupy our whole daily routines. As you can see, for many years I'm involved in three main things, with a routine, sometimes seeming rigid routine, and I'm flexible for change. I'm flexible, especially economic, financial, commercial change, but Aspies need to be encouraged in those special interests. So my special interests are, of course, predominantly in regards to the special interests which I have as an individual Aspies, because they vary. It's a variation. Not every Aspie has the same special interest, but we can be so focused, so intense, so concentrated that these special interests make us neglect. Look at these beautiful flowers here. From flowers all the way. Hey, it's quite nice. Flowers. Quite cute, isn't it? So these special interests make us, in the awkward sense, that we are focused, super concentrated, super intense about a narrow subject. And my holy trinity is, and this is 24/7, geopolitics. I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist. Sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport. Dragon Zero, Rainbow Dragon, General Rainbow Dragon is Priestess, General Priestess, aka both do double trouble. And of course, rock and roll. Rock and roll always for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses. Always firefighters, on the construction workers, on the steel doors, going on the crazeless building. Build some sausage. Put some cheese. Wall Street, don't be so selfish, please. Yeah, rock and roll 24/7, and I'm a Democratic Republican for the party of Uniting Canada and United States, and the third party, Democratic Republican, fused centrist. My centrism is North American centric and pro-labor and revolutionary, and I gotta say that I take a lot of pride in my geopolitical work as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist. I do that daily. Even today I couldn't help myself. I did about things since I woke up. It was like 7:30. I meditated in bed for like 44 minutes and 50 seconds. And then, of course, I started doing geopolitical theoretical analysis, and of course I analyzed the world events, and especially with our concern in regards to the North American Collectif, always for the 63, for defense, security, justice, LOV, and rebirth, for the 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories. 10 plus 50 is 60, plus 3, 63. So for the 63, 24/7, you know, and that's how I rock and roll, because I was born in the United States 3 times, post 76, once as a woman, twice as a man, served in the same United States Armed Forces, twice, 2 different wars, 156 years apart. So the wars were far apart, 156 years apart, but that's how we're gonna do it with that, and that's how we're gonna rock and roll it, you know, 24/7. For the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, the bakers, construction workers, those in the daycare changing some diapers, you know. That's how I gotta rock and roll it, and I gotta watch for my hat. Auctioning this hat, I bought it second hand. $1 million to give it half to my anonymous friend, $1 million of my underwear, everything that I'm wearing, and enough of my face. Gotta give credit for the heavens a little bit, and the sun, my Pope the King, you know. Gotta rock and roll it a bit on the other side as well, you know, as we go to the mountain, my second home on this journey, and admire the environment here, and of course gotta look towards the heavens a little bit sometimes, and gotta get a little bit on that drill, and saluting all the plumbers, the electricians, the workers, the daycare workers, the farmers, the butchers, those in the daycare changing some diapers, those in the fast food, public workers, those who pick up the garbage, the recycling across the 63. We gotta unite, and one thing I'm gonna say first and foremost to the deployed Marines, LA, California, and maybe across the US now, and the police officers, our men and women in uniform are not perfect. We're individuals. As I sing for them rock and roll, I also gotta sing for my brothers and sisters who do their criminal rehabilitation. Then proud of you, black, white, and rainbow, who take your second, third chances, and you change your life. And change your life, turn your life around, and you know, you do work, and whatever the case may be, is I'm always open for work. This is my work, and I have a YouTuber, and rock and roll, geopolitics, and sports and fitness. I create choreography, dance choreography, and I'm proud to say that in my geopolitical work, of course, I created a workout training program system, and of course, important to know to say that I predicted what's happening now across the world in 2019. In October, November 2019, I predicted an international conflagration. And so I created, and produced a workout training program system to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario. Heard that correct? I have proof of that statement. I have proof of work, as I admire those beautiful flowers there in the corner. Quite cute there, isn't that just gorgeous? Just beautiful. Here in Hakkaila, Montreal, and see our brothers and sisters there. For the public workers, gotta salute, and I gotta see where I can go safely. I'm gonna assess security assessment, turn left and right. And the best way for me is, of course, to go by the park, straight by the park, and cut it through the park, you know. Always turn your heads left and right, and before you cross the street, I gotta salute the public workers. See, that's why we gotta make it, put it in the garbage, and please, please, please. I've been noticing, of course, that people put a lot of recycling in the garbage. So please, 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 don't put it in the garbage. Don't put it in the garbage. Don't put it in the garbage. Don't put it in the garbage, eh? Don't put it in the garbage. Don't put it in the garbage, you know. That's how we got, and so I gotta get doing with that, and so please don't put it in the garbage. Put it in the recycling, and we're gonna get passing there, you know. So that's how we're gonna get doing with that, and that's how we're gonna get rock and rolling, man. And let my fellow citizen pass there. That's on the side. See? And that's how we are. Sometimes our movements as Aspies, of course, seem a little bit abnormal. The way we move our body can sometimes seem clumsy. When I'm not working out training or doing military marching drills, when I do military marching drills, push-ups and workout or dance, I'm super focused, super dedicated, and that's how we are. We're doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with the XYZ, you know, for the firefighters, butchers, plumbers, and electricians, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, you know. That's what it is, you know. That's what it is with that, you know what I mean? So there we got the workers and the plumbers and the electricians, the butchers, and all those who are involved in the production, distribution of food, you know. That's what it is, man. And so we got to rock and roll, you know, for the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, all those plumbers, nurses, electricians, the doctors, and all those, of course, who are involved in the production, distribution of food, and all those, of course, who get it on the go with that. And that's what we gotta get doing for the Dragon Army, man, you know. Here is steel and metal, and gotta salute the public workers for that. And that's what we gotta get doing on that. 3 seconds, 4 seconds, we gotta get it on the go, and that's how we got, you know. Here for the paper, for the left, for the right, for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, plumbers, and these workers here. Gotta salute so much work for us to have just running water, you know. We need to get mass infrastructure renewal act, you know. We need to get mass infrastructure renewal act. We need to get mass infrastructure renewal act. We need to mass infrastructure renewal act, and that's what we got. We need to get mass infrastructure renewal act, you know. That's what we got, you know. Mass Infrastructure Renewal Act, and that's what they got doing with that, and they want to get it on the go here with the construction workers who build it here, and that's what they got to get doing with the love, man. You know, we got to get it on the go, and that's what we got to get on that hydration when we work out, you know. Super important to get that hydration and to get it on the left and on the right, and for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, the plumbers, and the electricians, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, you know. Oh, I love those, especially these ones as well. Both go hand in hand together. Gotta love these flowers. Wow, these are really gorgeous. These are really, wow, 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 wow. I just love the bright colors like that, and that's all we got, you know, to get it on the go, and that's all we got to get doing for these as well, you know, to get it on the go for that, and that's how we got to get drilling with the beautiful. Isn't that just gorgeous flowers, look at that. See the beauties across here when we go, I'm gonna smell it. Oh yeah, it smells good. I love this smell. This is one of the best I smelled. Flowers of spring 2025, post-COVID, celebrating having survived COVID, you know. celebrating having survived COVID. Stay safe on the roads, firefighters. And my message to the Marines deployed, and of course to the Marines, and of course to the Marines, and to the Marines and the National Guard deployed. Sportsmanship. I'm watching you from over here, from Montreal, aka Hawk Island, like a hawk. I'm watching you from over here, like from Montreal Island, like a hawk. Because we gotta get for that 63, and that's what it is with that. For that 63, the 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories, you know. So that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and the prudence, and that's how we gotta play sportsmanship, you know. Sportsmanship, super important. The Dragon Army, calling for the Dragon Army to be created, you know, the Dragon Army to be created on the go, and that's how we gotta get on that creation. Look at those beautiful flowers there in the corner. Wow, some beautiful flowers there in the corner. See, nice. Brings me some joy, and what brings me joy today earlier, I saw my youth. I see my children because I don't have children of my own, but the youth finishing high school, I guess, graduating or whatever XYZ for other factorials. But they were dancing happily, joyously, secure and safely there in the corner of the, not in the street, but in the bigger, was more a bigger pedestrian street on the where the benches. They were some were sitting on the bench and some were dancing. And dancing is my favorite sport. You know, Dragon's Hero is aka Priestess or that GODDSS. So gotta love when I dance. I channel my past lives incarnations, and sometimes was born a woman, sometimes was born a man, and you get that 50-50 now, you know. You get that 50-50 now, you know. 50-50. Paradox is that I predicted what's happening now back in 2019. Of course, back in 2019, I predicted an international conflagration, you know. Back in 2019, I predicted an international conflagration based on several layers of analysis. And that's what we got, and several levels of analysis, you know. And of course, you know, so the youth are happy, joyous, and that's what matters, man, with them, and that's how we gonna do, you know, and that's how we gonna get doing on the go, you know. So something which we have to be mindful of, and we might have to get it here, you know, as we go. And as we go to my second home, the mountain, and admire these flowers, I'm gonna now finish on Asperger's. Once again, Asperger's is not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition. It just makes us predisposed to those special interests. And of course, several characteristics such as getting too close to people, basically breaching personal space. The personal space, an Aspie might get so close to like 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, very close, and that might cause an discomfort, even an alarm, even a discomfort, and you know, might trigger some unpleasant feelings, you know, of insecurity maybe as well, you know, of insecurity maybe as well, of insecurity maybe as well, you know. So those are things I always, in Aspies, we always have to work on, building bridges with the majority of the population, which you constitute 99.56% compared to us, 0.44%, less than half of a percentile, less than 1% have Asperger's, so we're not that many in the world. So we have these brain mutations, and that makes us, the way we communicate, we interact, makes us weird, eccentric, and odd, although we have our where we excel are those special interests. Usually we can, if an Aspie special interest is automobiles, cars, an Aspie might be so proficient in knowing anything about the car by just looking at it, analyzing, knowing the year of production, the date of manufacturing, the cost, and etc. Things such as, of course, things such as the speed, maximum speed, the gallons of consumption, or liters or gallons. A gallon is 4 liters, so might know all the technical details about the cars, car manufacturers, and the year of establishment of the company and the founders, and all the information about cars. me as an Aspie is geopolitics. The problem is that sometimes these special interests make us neglect other things to the detriment of society. That's why a lot of Aspies, of course, have social isolation problems. You know, social isolation, harm. A lot of Aspies are abused, live a lot of abuse. And these sort of things. And unfortunately, myself included, am financially stressed. In the Aspie community, which is a tiny small community, the high unemployment rate, it's 11 times the majority of the population of 99.56%, which you constitute the majority of neurotypicals compared to us neurodivergents. So due to that fact, we are engaged in having a 11 times higher unemployment rate, 11 times higher unemployment. So the higher unemployment rate, of course, the higher unemployment rate is this high unemployment rate, which of course is technically 11 times higher. It is between 60 and 80% compared to the majority of the population, which have between 5 and 11%, right? So it's 11 times higher. Consequently, also, there's a very high suicidal depression. Depression and suicide is 9 times higher than the majority of the population, which you constitute 99.56%. Since Aspies, there's not a lot of Aspies in the world, it's less than 1 out of 300, about approximate ratio 1 out of 300. Thus, consequently, it's the fellow Aspies of the community, which we constitute a small minority, but in our community, relative, the numbers, percentages, mathematically, the proportion for unemployment and depression rates and suicidal is 9 and 11, or 9 times higher the depression rates, and the unemployment rate is 11 times higher. So that's a paradox. And yes, we have employment, we have jobs, it's just keeping them long term, the maintenance, because we socially, we are very weird, we are very divergent, we lack a lot of skills in social manners. How we communicate, how we interact are very, of course, can seem very odd, and of course the oddities and the eccentricities are, of course, manifesting in such a way that, look at those beautiful flowers there. We are usually
we're not regular.
I love my children's discourses. Gotta love the youth. Always makes me smile when I see them happy and smiling. You know, that gives me some hope, because the youth, the children are innocent, you know. It's certainly not their fault that I'm financially struggling and I'm financially stressed and I survive being depressed and suicidal, and it gives me joy to see their joy. And you know what, when I cross Canada coast to coast, here, turn your heads left and right. You know, when I cross, I'm gonna go hydrate. When I cross Canada coast to coast, that's when I got out of being depressed and suicidal, you know. Actually, I'm gonna go hydrate because I don't really need. I'm just gonna go hydrate at the other place. So I also live with unemployment now, and I had many jobs, just like many Aspies. It's just maintaining them, you know, keeping them. Keeping the jobs can be difficult for Aspies, and also maintaining friendships, relations. But to make it clear, you know, friends with benefits only from now on. Friends with benefits only, you know. Friends with benefits only, and that's what we got, friends with benefits only, you know. That's what we're gonna do from now on, and it's pledge your allegiance to our family. Pledge your allegiance to our family. It's pledge your allegiance. Look at those beautiful cases. Trigger a little bit of a past life on the seas, with yours truly, and that's what we got on the seas. And I think I should go hydrate because it's getting hot. So I think that's a fire truck there. I see blurred, I need some glasses, but I'm gonna salute the firefighters as I admire these flowers and show them some love. Somebody give them some massages, please. Wall Street, finance the public workers, the firefighters. The firefighters, those pick up the garbage, they're recycling, and they're recycling the garbage. They're recycling the garbage, and they're recycling the garbage. Those who pick it, do that work, please finance them a massage therapy session. Maybe that's why I was a bit moody the other days. Due, of course, to craving a massage therapy session. But you know what? The public workers who pick up the garbage, they deserve it and earn it more than yours truly. That's why we need to get that PPP and incorporate and do my Trinity theories across the 63 for the kingdom, the DRT, Debt Fusion Theory, the DFT, Democratic Fusion Theory, and the DRT, DFT, Democratic Fusion Theory, and the Monetary Integration, the DRT, Debt Fusion Theory, the DFT, and the CIT, DFT, CIT, the Citizen Integration Theory, the Citizen Integration Theory, the Citizen Integration Theory. That's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gonna get that rock and rolling, man. And that's how we gotta get doing for that, man. Gotta get it on the go, and that's how I gotta get doing on that. Gotta see a little bit of that love in there with the flags of Canada more and more, and my fellow workers doing some deliveries. You know, they need a little bit of raise, a little bit of raise with the strikes ongoing now. I love yellow flowers. That's what I love so much. I just love so much yellow flowers, and just bringing me so much joy. As you can see from my past videos, I always stop an extra second to just admire the yellow flowers and other flowers as well, but specifically yellow. And I really love bright colors like this one, you know, as I'm wearing bright colors, but this one looks kind of creamy. Looks kind of creamy, eh? That's what makes me think of a little bit of ice cream, you know, a little bit of ice cream like that, and that's what we got, a little bit of that, and gotta get it on the XYZ and the things, and that's how we gotta get it on the left side of things, man, you know, and that's how we got, you know, black, white, and rainbow together here with the children playing safely. And I'm gonna go hydrate and gonna go to my second home, play on the mountain, my doctoress, my mistress, my second home, the mountain. That's where we're heading, towards my mistress, Mount Royal. We're already a bit striding on the mountain here, the Three Peak Mountain, Mount Royal. And once again, Aspies, the problem is our community faces a lot of obstacles, myself included, you know, and rejection, isolation, and live with scars, and was attacked by surprise a few years ago, fell, hit my head on the concrete, got a dislocated right arm, and was replaced, was cracked back, you know, so it was cracked back, and I was put on some meds. I was kind of for pain, and I was kind of like bloodied up. I was bloodied up, and I was like in a coma for a few days. And I remember moving from there. I think in July 1st is either gonna be 10 years or 9 years since I moved. And if I go back 9 years, I have a good memory. Then 10 it gets blurred, and after 11, I have retrograde amnesia. I have trouble remembering. So I don't know if I was an alcoholic, because usually what causes retrograde amnesia, memory loss, which of course doesn't affect things such as mathematical knowledge, linguistic knowledge, mathematical knowledge, or language knowledge, mathematics, and or linguistic capabilities, or other such things. Just personal memories I have trouble remembering. It's sometimes what causes is a head trauma, and paradoxically head traumas can also trigger back memory. I don't want to get a concussion or get hit in the head or again, and I am hyper vigilant because of all the scars, all the trauma, all that. But I'm happy, joyous. I just need a massage therapy session, to be honest. That will increase even my joy, my well-being. But I'm gonna be joyous, happy, content, and grateful to have water, hot water. I can take a bath, and I can immerse in a bathtub. It's not that big, but it can still fit this rainbow dragon, who was very heavy before 2017, and I crossed Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean in 2017. That made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, and ever since then I'm gonna let the water run for 10 seconds because you got to clear those pipes a bit. So that event in 2017 got me out of depression and being suicidal, and ever since then I started my fitness journey. I lost between 80 and 93 pounds. That's HYDRAT before we get that marching to the mountain. I gotta showcase this nice dog park here again because I showcase it every time, but I gotta say it's a good job and it's fun for dog owners if you're so inclined, you know, if you have dog ownership. And I really gotta showcase it because it's one of the biggest, most extensive, with lots of plays where dogs can play so many places. See, they can just play there and there, and that's why they can play, man. So it's a cool one. It's a cool one, so I gotta give some shout out, you know. Credit is due. Credit is due, and it's a nice dog park. Really nice. Comparison, I guess, if we have to compare, but I guess sometimes we don't need to compare with other parks. It's just, I'm gonna say one of the, in terms of size and in terms of what's available for the dogs to play. So I'm gonna advertise it here in Montreal, Hawk Island. NDG, my city. I died here on the island. I had COVID, and COVID for me was like death, pestilence, and disease. I really thought I was gonna die in COVID, and I survived. I survived 2020. Between February 2020 and March 2020. Between February 2020 and March 2020, so more than 5 years ago. And before that, I was depressed, suicidal in 2017, and crossing Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean made me come out of being depressed and suicidal. Back then, I crossed in August 2017. I went to BC, Vancouver, British Columbia. Then in 2017, I went, of course, in September 2017. I went, of course, in September 2017. I went, of course, in September. I went, of course, into. I went, of course, in British. Went to British Columbia first, and then watch it. Gotta cross the street, prune, and watch the police. Get out of the way. 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 Be careful. Gotta get that prudence. Gotta salute our men and women in uniform. Gotta rock and roll for them. They're not perfect. We're not perfect, and you know, here we got the Good Samaritan law in Quebec. So if somebody would have gotten hurt by the police, as I sing rock and roll for our brothers and sisters in uniform across the 63, I also gotta sing rock and roll for those who do their criminal rehabilitation. My brothers and sisters who do criminal rehabilitation. I was thinking, of course, gotta get it, watch it a little bit when you cross the street, you know. Gotta watch to see, to calculate how many seconds, you know, and make sure people cross safely, you know. It's got the assessment, and of course my mental capacities are mathematical, so I calculate kind of distance. If I can see visibly, for what I can see, the distance of the object and the velocity of the parameter and the velocity of the car. So in my mind, when I saw that, I just mathematically try to calculate the speed. Although I see blurred, the object's moving, I know that there are certain distance, estimated approximations of estimations in terms of meters, in terms of yards, and I kind of know where the safety and security is, because how I saw it is, you know, four parts. So basically, mathematical, arithmetically, the speed of the police car and the speed of the others, and what, taking into account whether it was red or green, on which side it was red, whether crossing going east to west or north to south. So my mind assessed that there was some risk, of course, and there's always a risk, but we gotta, you know, we gotta get some of that work. And my brothers and sisters in uniform, they're not perfect. They're not perfect. They're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I got flaws, and I suffered, struggled, was depressed, suicidal, and crossing Canada coast to coast really changed my whole life around. You know, I'm an Aspie who's also part of the LGBTQ community, but I am a democratic Republican. I'm a pro-labor and love universal revolutionary centrism. Always sportsmanship. In all our security, police conduct, military conduct with each other, we gotta apply sportsmanship conduct, sportsmanlike. Because I don't like violence. I don't like violence. I do not like violence. I lived it. I suffered it. I have scars, and I am hyper vigilant. But I don't like. I just avoid it as much as possible and channel aggression and channel. That's why I have been and will call for the channeling of aggression by mass financing fitness across the 63 Canada, United States. Mass financing fitness, and let's build together the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, and of course make also tourism in parallel. Because tourism, when I cross Canada coast to coast, first I went out in the west, British Columbia, Vancouver. And of course, going to British Columbia, Vancouver, 2017 August by bus, I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians and my brothers and sisters in the USA. And of course, back then, that was what got me out of being depressed. Got me out of being depressed. Got me out of being depressed, being suicidal. Got me out of being depressed and being suicidal, you know. So got me out of being depressed and being suicidal. That's why I have been advocating for a public-private partnership across the North American civilizational complex, and the children doing a little bit of sports, always encouraging, and they're happy, joyous, secure, and school's almost over for the summer, I guess. Last 3 days. And children laughing and playing is gonna be the anthem of the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom of the 63. No words to the anthem, but sounds of techno music, instrumental jazz music, rock and roll music, rap instrumental music, a bit of merges, you know. That's what it's gonna be. So here we are for the 63, for the 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories right on that rock and roll, east, west, north, south, and gonna wait for the cars there to pass, and gonna wait for my brothers and sisters in uniform to get it on the go, and that's what we gotta get doing X, Y, Z, and for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the electricians, the plumbers, and the firefighters, and oh, speaking of the devil, firefighters right there, somebody make him some good loving, otherwise send them to me, but you gotta be 18 plus. I'm gonna card you like you go get alcohol, or you go get cigarettes. I don't smoke myself. Or you go get that legal cannabis weed across the 13 of Canada. Legal since 2019. I got myself the other day, but I even have leftovers from 4 years ago that I got, you know, from 4 years ago. I got myself. I still got leftovers from 4 years. I don't know if it's still any good, but I don't do much. I don't consume much alcohol either. I just get a bottle of wine once in a while, but I'm just saying that I'm gonna card you, you know, just like you go to get that liquor booze, and that's how I'm gonna proceed. If you wanna come some loving, black, white, black, rainbow, man and woman, you know, gotta be 18. So crossing Canada made me establish a strong esprit de corps. My fellow Canadians, and ever since then I started my fitness journey. I lost between 80 and 93 pounds. 80 and 93 pounds, and I'm proud to have created an efficient, effective workout training program system. Which I created it back in 2019 to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario. I predicted what's happening now, but of course, since my special interest, us Aspies have special interests, and me is geopolitics, and I do analysis and theories and analytical geopolitics and theoretical analytical geopolitics 24/7, and of course 24/7, because events happen 24/7. There's always a confluence of events which are unfolding. Now I have to meditate on, of course, this unprecedented geopolitical events of the involvement of the Marines and the National Guard in California, LA. My brothers and sisters in uniform, sportsmanship. We got to create the Dragon Army based on my new 911 protocols fundamental philosophies, which of course I call for the reform across the integration across the 63 to create the 7 parallel to the 6 U.S. Armed Forces, part of the Department of Defense, Homeland Security, and the Department of Defense of the United States to create the 7th. Canada, United States merged. The Dragon Army, aka the North American SSD, or the new Security Service and Defense, because Canada, United States, we got to get that homeland together. We got to merge. My public-private partnership best to merge, and we got to rebuild the North American ghettos. We got to rebuild the North American Imperium. Got to rebuild the North American inner urban cities together. Mass investments, billions and billions. I'm calling for the mass financing of this new integrated for the 63, the 10 provinces, 50 states and 3 territories, for the 10 plus 50 plus 3-63, for total security, total service, total defense, total security, total service, total defense across the 63. That's what yours truly is calling for about, and you gotta watch when you cross the street, and gotta see a little bit of that rock and roll, you know, and always gotta be prudent here. What we got to do together is create a common passport, common currency, and let's give some amnesty to certain undocumented workers, undocumented migrants, and contribute to by work to build the 44, to build the 44 by work, to build the 44 tunnels, which we need to build across the North American collective, mass tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, because ICBM rockets can get us from Russia, from overseas, from North Korea. See, we get thousands of trucks like that, as we need new trucks for total security, total service, total defense for the 63 mega trucks, and we need to get new uniforms, the red uniforms of the Dragon Army for deterring aggression, and the white for service, and a little bit of each, and white and red together, and a black one for just to be for, of course, in between the defense security service, and of course for making sure that the ones in red uniforms and the ones in white uniforms are also doing and applying the sportsmanship. So basically a tripartite uniforms for the Dragon Army, mobilization 1%, and integrated with all existing armed forces and police forces across the 63, 10 provinces, 50 states and 3 territories. That's my vision for the Dragon Army, for only and only SSD, security service and defense. And of course we got to do a census, so it requires a vast mass public-private partnership. Bill Gates, Scorpio, Bill Gates in a parallel life, and Wall Street in a parallel life. I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who of course creates supercomputers and microchips and supercomputers and all microchips, supercomputers, and everything to do with ICBM rockets and satellites, everything to do with science, technology, telecommunications in a parallel life or timeline, if you will. I also have Asperger's, but in this life I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and my special interests are geopolitics, sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport, and rock and roll, that holy trinity, and Holy Trinity with that, and that's what we gotta get rock and rolling with that, man, because that's the Holy Trinity. In that parallel life, it's science, physics, and mathematics. So I guess connecting with my parallel self makes me a little bit of XYZ, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, you know. So as we go here on the go, and that's how I gotta be grateful, thankful, as I'm on the mountain here, one of the 3 peaks of the mountain, Mount Royal proper. This is the West Mount peak of the mountain. Of course the other one is Ultrama, and where we're going is Mount Royal, and the whole 3-peak mountain at the heart, right between the east and the west, but slightly south, a little bit south. It's not exactly in the center between the north and the south, but it's south, but it is between the east and the west. It is between the east and the west. East and the west, between the east and the west. So it is between the east and the west, exactly the center on the island, because we live on an island, Montreal, Hawk Island, HAWK, my favorite bird, and we have hawks here, you know, so that's why we got to make it into a massive center for total defense, total security for the Dragon Army. See how it goes down? Got to turn my head and see There it goes down, and you can see slightly of the, you can't really see the river, but you can see sometimes we're over there pointing the camera here towards us, so we see the mountain here with this beautiful flower. So my vision, my dream is the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the North American collective. Beautiful multicolored flowers there. I kind of like that combination. Makes me think of a, you know, that type of ice cream. Oh, I got ice cream, man. I'm just got me ice cream, and in the backpack I got some sweets, but I guess maybe it's a full moon, so can I indulge on sweets or keep it for the weekend? We'll see how it goes when I go back. But I don't think there's anything that can melt. Hopefully not. Melted chocolate in the back. I don't think so. The piece of cake there, it's inside the aluminum foil, so I got food in the back, and that's gonna be my little treat when I get back. It's an in and out today. Today is just an in and out, so I'm gonna take the same trajectory. I'm not gonna take a long route. Yesterday I did more than 7 hours and 44 minutes. 7 hours 44 minutes. 7 hours 44 minutes yesterday. Monday I did 6 hours and 26 minutes. So I try to average a minimum of 20 hours of marching every week. 20 hours of marching to average about 4 every day. And it's my routine, my rituals, you know, my meditative, because I'm always in that meditative state about geopolitics and rock and roll. I always create rock and roll songs as I go, and it's geopolitics 24/7. And my brothers and sisters deployed, National Guard, California, police, California, and Marines. It's unprecedented, right? But the problem is we need to apply sportsmanship. And yes, I am for a partially to give a certain amnesty to undocumented migrants, undocumented workers, undocumented or illegal aliens. However we dispute on the name, the principle is that we can provide certain amnesty to those who are existing inside the United States. And then those who are trying to, you know, maybe by the legal means to trying to cross the border and ensure more border security. But the border between Canada and the United States, that gotta go. Even Mexico is part of North America. Mexico's part of North America. Maybe we can also reach a good deal. Common passport, common currency with Mexico as well. Common currency, common passport with Mexico as well. At home I speak English. Here in Quebec we got that French, and in the past more than 7 years it's also been Spanish, and I learned Spanish. I'm not exactly fully 100% perfect speaker, but I can read, I can manage a little bit of that Spanish. So that's how we got, and that's how we got to get it rock and rolling on the XYZ to get it on the love side of things. And we got to get it, man, and we got to get together, and we got to implement the Trinity of theories, and that's why they got to cross here prudently. Turn your heads, D. Cross the street. Sometimes they come fast, eh? Although there you can see how it goes down here, Roslyn, Saint Antoine, and that's how we got beautiful flowers there. I kind of love the flower pots, kind of how they're arranged there, those bright ones. Just makes my whole day refreshing, especially those spheres. They're super nice, spherical ones, and that's what it is, it's spherical ones. And my anonymous friend and me can share one of these houses 50-50, you know, 50-50. 50-50 with that. That's what I gotta do with that, and that's what I gotta get doing, man. I can share with my anonymous friend 50-50 with that, but actually my anonymous friend would prefer by the river, so I don't mind any point on the island, as long as it's on the island, which is surrounded by a big river. I call it Snake River, or aka St. Lawrence. We can split any house 50-50, and that's how we gotta get drilling. And you know, I'm gonna cross, see how it goes. So it goes down, because now we're already on the mountain, and that's afar off there. Those buildings are really afar off, as you can see there. So the mountain can be seen afar off, and the east and the west. And we're going to my doctor, my mistress, call it a mistress, top of the mountain there as we go, you know. That's how we got, and so we gotta get doing, man. And so we gotta get on that drill, you know. So Gotta get that California. Speaking of California, the California plate's only in the front. So not really, but my brothers and sisters in California, we gotta get it here. And that's all we gotta get doing, man. Travel public works, man. Public workers doing a little bit of pot filling. That's good, you know, for safety. Make sure don't to trip, you know, that's really something else. You gotta get on the fixing all the potholes here, so that's public works which we gotta do, especially here, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. Here we gotta get it on the leveled up, and that's gotta be balanced, and you know, for the safety of the pedestrians, we got mass work to do. In terms of the public works, we got mass works, and gotta salute the workers of the past as well, eh? That's what I'm marching for, the Hydro-Quebec workers. Hey, look at these, all white flowers. All white flowers, man. All white flowers, you know. That's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, man. And we gotta get that unite. The Global Dragon Union, we gotta get the Democratic Republican Party of North America, the North American Collective Workers Party, the North American Collective Workers Party, you know, the North American Collective Workers Party. That's what we gotta get doing. That's what we got, man. The NACWP for all. Pledge your allegiance. Friends with benefits only, please. Friends with benefits only. Friends with benefits only, please. Friends with benefits only, please, you know. So we gotta get doing, man. Friends with benefits only, and encouraging all to get on that go. And here my brothers and sisters doing a little bit of that tennis, and that's what we got, man. We got a little bit of that drill there, and you can see part of area city there. That's what we got, and gotta get another hydration again, because it's hot, and you know, that's what we got. And got our beautiful cities and across the 50 states, you know. That's how we gotta get drilling with that, man. And all the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians, all those making some love now. Come make me some love. You gotta be 18 plus, black, white, or brown, or black man, white women, men, whatever the case may be. That's how we gotta get doing on that. And so we gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know. Here we gotta hydrate again, so. That's what we gotta get doing here, man. I like a little bit of sports. I like fitness, and I like sports, you know, fitness. But of course, dancing is my favorite sport, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And that's what we gotta get doing on that. That's what we gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know. So we gotta get doing on the love, man. Get that drill, and so we gotta get doing on the. For the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, doctors, and firefighters, electricians, and all those involved now, you know. Public workers embellishing a bit of their work, and it's always work. And speaking of work, I gotta get on the work of geopolitics, and we're gonna now discuss a bit of geopolitics. What I call first and foremost, of course, is for sportsmanship, you know. Sportsmanship. So that's bien sûr, that's something when we got, you know. That's what we gotta get doing with the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing with the left side of things, man. Gotta get doing now, man, you know. Something which we got, you know. Look at that duck, man. Look at that duck there. Isn't that beautiful? Whoopsie. And another one here, see? Dick-a-dick. They're cute. Ils vous aident? OK. Ouais. Mais j'aime ça comment ils marchent, par exemple, sur les roches. Il y a une élégance, là. Tu sais? Je trouve, en tout cas, moi-même, personnellement. Là. What I said is, of course, that they have a certain elegance. elegance, you know. They look a bit elegant, a little bit like, I don't need you. I got everything I need in nature. Say, well, whatever the case may be, and that's what it is with that, that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get drilling, you know, to get it on that XYZ, you know. So something which we got, you know. Here we got, you know, the good loving, and that's how we got, you know. I don't know. Yeah. Smells good, man. Fresh cut grass. Just gotta inhale, and we're gonna go to very fresh air, you know. Just make sure you cross. We're only gonna salute the aqueducts. Changing the aqueducts here, you know. Got a lot of labor to do, and those are gonna be a lot of good working. And see, gotta salute the public workers, and we're gonna get on that go, and that's what we're gonna get doing on that, man. As we go all the way to the mountain, and that's what we're gonna get drilling with that, man, you know. Here I can split a house, anonymous 50-50 with my anonymous friend, but that's how we gotta get drilling. So of course, public workers, salutations, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians. In my community, Asperger's, we suffer from very, very high unemployment rate, between 60 and 80%. Beautiful flowers there, look at that, gorgeous, nice. Between 60 and 80%. Meaning it's 11 times higher, paradoxically, that we're a tiny small community of Aspies. There's not a lot of Aspies in the world, but disproportionately the high unemployment rate and high suicidal and depression rates. 9 times higher. So I was depressed, I was suicidal. I was depressed, I was suicidal, of course. And me being depressed and suicidal was a tough ideation, you know. Tough ideation, and that's what we gotta get doing here. Gotta get some of the construction workers, and here I can pass. Although, gonna do some work, man. Super important. Yeah, it's all needed here, man. See, they're doing some work, man. Gotta get it on the do, man. Gotta do it on the love, you know. It's gotta get it now, man. Get it on the do's, you know. So it's something which you gotta get respect for, you know. Public workers, changing the aqueducts, the sewers, you know. So it's something that's valuable, because I drink water, I take showers, you know. I use it for coffee, and thanks to my anonymous friend, I got the filter. Actually, once in a blue moon, it's usually was her that was financing, but now it's me. So we gotta get some workers, and always getting down, and always making sure that you cross. I don't want to interfere with people who work in their work. When I see them in their work, I try to, you know, navigate on my side, because work is important, you know. Financially stressed times, and people are stressed financially, myself included, you know. And I live through depression, and you know, I calculate the economic financial situation, which of course Canada and the United States, we're in a very similar financial precarious situation, both in the public and in the private. Many people are struggling. I'm gotta be grateful that I paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, and now I'm going to get my doctor on the mountain. I'm going to my special type of doctor, doctoress, mistress, 2 in 1, I guess. The forest is the mistress and the mountain is the doctor. So I'm going now, but now we're on the mountain peak. So basically what we are and what we do is something which we are together, you know. Otherwise we get it on the side of things. We gotta have the individual, and the collective. See, look at that. Wow. Hey, that is just amazing. Wow, that is just amazing. Just gorgeous garden. Just one at the top. Just so beautiful. Amazing garden. Amazing flowers, as you can see all over, I guess, as I go to the mountain. And my second home, the mountain, looking over black, gray, dark clouds. It's in and out today. In and out today, no overtime today, but I got already about 52 minutes. I think it was 52 minutes, maybe close to 53, something like that, more than 50 minutes. Earlier, before I did this big one, because I went to retrieve a package for my anonymous friend and XYZ, but again, back to financial, I'm $10,000 in debt. I'm stressed. I had some employment. I gotta give a shout out. I made $30 an hour. $30 an hour was good, was okay. I'm grateful for having that. $30 an hour was really good, and gotta give a shout out for my anonymous friend if he's gonna go all the way up, because it's steep. So go, you know. Gotta encourage, and that's another beautiful set of white flowers. Look a bit like snow, and you got those yellow ones there, and that's all we gotta get doing now, man. So of course, my financial stress is due to Asperger's mostly, but I live a very austere, severe 21st century rainbow dragons lifestyle. And for the Dragon Army, public-private partnership-based integrated mobilization and integrated with all existing security services, organizations and troops, fused and only for SD, security service and defense, based on my new 911 protocols, and to implement Operation Northern Scorpion, which was started in 2017 and onwards during COVID, and furthermore in the past 3.5 years revised after the invasion of Ukraine by Russia and the current Middle East, Israel-Hamas debacle, and potentially the conflict between China and Taiwan. And now we got another news that another Chinese national have, of course, been arrested in conflict from Wuhan. A little bit of that lab and a little bit of that a little bit of a biological related, again, maybe to agricultural biological warfare. So it's something that's quite alarming, and paradoxically parallel, we've also heard today, I've heard, we're going to have to be seeing what's going to be development in the coming minutes, hours and days as we go every day by day. You know, as I live at carpe diem every day since I survived COVID, that of course the trade war doesn't have a resolution with China. Is there trade war? And of course China, we have our own trade war with the canola tobacco, because China imported a lot of canola oil. Wow, I love these flowers here.
So yeah, it's a clematis vine, but instead of climbing a trail, but it loves the sun.
Me too.
Yeah, and the butterflies love it, and
yeah,
and it's right at eye level, right?
They look very. They look very nice.
Thank you.
I love them. Anyways, didn't want to bother you. I just wanted. What are the names?
Clematis. It's a vine. CLEM.
That's from Latin.
Clematis. Yes.
From climate.
I don't know.
I think, because I know a little bit of Latin.
Yeah.
I know a little bit of Latin.
If they're best climbing up a trellis like
Yeah.
this, because they love to reach for the sun.
Wow.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye, you too.
My fellow auntie there. There's a little bit of flowers, and we spoke a few years ago. I always congratulated her. I said hello because she's got that nice flowers there. Nice flowers there with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. Gotta get on that rock and roll, you know. So that's how we gotta train and gotta operate. And so we gotta get doing with the XYZ, you know, for the firefighters, the butchers, the bakers, and the nurses, the plumbers, the electricians, and all those involved, you know, in the production, distribution of food. Now the sun's shining, you know. So we gotta get on that drill, man. Turn our heads left and right, and kind of cross the street here prudently. See how steep it goes, and that's what it goes, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get on that rock and roll, man. Always 24/7 for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, and doctors, plumbers, electricians, and that's why we got a little bit of sunshine and a little bit of dark clouds. Kind of looks 50-50, you know, half storm. Yesterday I got caught in the storm, as you can see from my videos, and I heard the thunder rumbling, powerful thunder a few times, and I don't mind storms and hot weather storms. You know, I go to the mountain on all climate, all terrain. So back to the financial stress which we live in, myself included. The problem is the stagnation of the salaries, in consequence with the prices which keep increasing every week. They keep increasing every week. Just my chocolate bars, which I bought before for 50 cents, they're now 63. My wafers, which I used to buy for $1, they're now $1.25. That's 25%. Is it because of the price of cocoa? Possibly. Then the producer pays more, so it down the line, the transportation also all these factors in the economic globalization which we are now, with the globalization to get that chocolate bar, which usually the ones that I bought before for 50 cents, I used to buy 6 for the weekend. Every weekend 6, every weekend 6. Now I bought just 4 because it went from 50 cents to 63 cents. 63 minus 50 is 13 cents, but 13 cents increase, it equivalates to 26% in percentage, percentile wise, when you calculate the ratio of the increase in percentage. 26%. How many salaries in the public, in the organization, you know, that have increased by 26%? This looks like a snake. Not a lot. I don't know a lot of salaries which have increased 26%. 26%. 26%. Which have increased 26%. 26%. Many salaries have stagnated. So that's the problem. The increase of the salaries only by such a small percentage, 2, 3, 4%, 5%. Average, I think, in the past 5 years is 4.4%. Average in the past 5 years is 4.4%. So take that into account. Take that into account. Take that into account. That's to be accounted for. That's the major problem which we're facing nowadays. A major problem in today's environment for both Canada and the United States, and of course throughout the world, in majority of the population, and whatever their dependencies of international trade and export. But paradoxically, China and Russia have rebounded and even have increased. China because they find other exports, and we have got the solidification of military, political, financial alliance, the Russia-Chinese alliance. In the past 4 years, they met several times. Xi Jinping went to Putin, Putin went to Xi Jinping, vice versa a few times. So you got to take that into account, you know, because China might invade Taiwan any day. The ROC, the Republic of China, is Taiwan. That's the official name of Taiwan. It's an unresolved conflict from the 20th century, and that's exactly what I predicted. That based on several levels of intellectual, academic, geopolitical analysis, because sometimes it gets a bit theoretical, academic and intellectual, my geopolitical theories and analysis. But at the end of the day, keep in mind that my theories, protocols, and initiatives, such as the Operation Northern Scorpio, are for the North American Collective. For the North American Collective. For the 63. Also including potentially Mexico with an open question. Because Scorpions, the Northern Scorpio, Scorpio of the North, Northern Scorpio goes from Mexico, all the way to Mexico, all the way to Canada. The only Scorpio which we have, get a house for my anonymous friend here, the Ramsey and Melrose. We can split 50-50, but by the river best for my anonymous friend. And I don't mind marching the island. I've been marched before. You know, I was depressed and suicidal a few years with one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries. I think if I go retrieve my books in the libraries between 2014, I'm assuming prior to that, but my memory goes blackout. From 2014 to 2019, I think in the 5 years, it's mostly geopolitical history, mostly political related in terms of geopolitics. I think that's mostly what it is. That's mostly what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on that rock and roll. So we gotta get doing on that rock and roll with that, you know. So we gotta get on the drill, and so we gotta get doing for the flowers here. Nice flowers, pretty good how they're going like that, you know. Can put it in, and nice transversal side there, you know. That's what we gotta get drilling, man. For the flowers and the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, and all those electricians and the plumbers, firefighters, and my cousins there who did a salutation, you know. Yes, you gotta stay hydrated, buddies, sisters, cousins. It's hot today, so you gotta get on that hydration, man, and that's all we got. Get a little bit of that hydration, and that's how we gotta get rock and rolling, you know. It's for the drills, and that's all we got, you know, for the XYZ, and we gotta get it on the love, you know, for those firefighters, electricians, and the plumbers, and the butchers, the bakers, and all those doing that labor there. That's how we gotta get doing with that, and gotta get doing for that, you know, workers there, you know, got kids there. A bit of financing for them, salutations. Public sanitation, super important. That's why we gotta get that public-private partnership, you know. That's why we gotta get that public-private partnership, you know. That's what we got. Get that public-private partnership, you know. That's what it is, and that's what we gotta get doing. For the North American Collective, for the 63, because I'm a North American centric. As much as I can pronounce myself on world affairs, fundamentally I'm a North American. I never lived in where those conflicts are. I had my own battles, scars, and you know, I guess they tried to take me out a few times, tried to take me out, and I guess me and Donald Trump, we have something together. Donald Trump, Granddaddy Trump, you know, I would have voted for Biden, Harris, Kamala, but we're not enemies. I'm a democratic Republican. I'm a pro-labor and love, universal revolutionary centrist. My centrism is tied hand in hand with my universal revolutionary centrism. It's tied hand in hand with what I got now to do, what we are to do now, you know, for the butchers, the bakers, and the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, and the electricians, and all those involved, you know, in the production and the distribution of food, and those who get around that rock and roll side of things, you know, brothers and sisters in uniform, and nobody's perfect. Those who do their criminal rehabilitation, I gotta sing for them some rock and roll, you know. I gotta sing for them as well, and I do, 24/7, you know. So we gotta get the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. Gotta get the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. The North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, and an amnesty for migrants, but we got to do a census, a great census, and everybody who's been living here for 5 or 7 plus years in Canada and United States can serve in the Dragon Army, aka North American Integrated SSD Legion, SSDL, the Security Service and Defense Legion, integrated with all the CSIS, Canadian Security Intelligence Service, RCMP, police, and armed forces, a new 21st century institution for total service, total security, total defense, total service, total security, total defense, for total service, total security, total defense across the 63, and it requires mass financing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing with the rock and roll here for the construction workers, brick by brick, you know. Gotta get a little bit of work and arbeit, and you know how it is with that. Me loving a little bit of that arbeit, and that's how we gotta get doing, man. Although, of course, financially I'm struggling, I still gotta get my gratitude in, and I gotta potentially, of course, employment in the future from the same person who, of course, has employed me, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get on the go, you know, to get it on the doing side of things, and I gotta watch for my fellow citizen when he crosses the street. Nobody's getting hit by a car under my watch, like a hawk, but he's getting hit by a car and got a sportsmanship. Whether you're black, white, rainbow, we're here in Canada, Quebec, coming to join us in the kingdom, my brothers and sisters, you know, and those who are already here, undocumented migrants and documented workers, papers, you know. If you want to work and do it, then we should give some amnesty, especially to build the 44 tunnels, and implement my DRT, debt refusion theory. Here we got each other, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. You see what's happening overseas, and we gotta channel the aggression. We gotta rebuild the North American inner urban cities. We gotta rebuild the ghettos together. We're gonna rebuild the ghettos together. The Dragon Army here internally, and mass development, Democratic Republican of the 63, and Mexico maybe will join us somehow. DRT, debt refusion theory, I gotta discuss it now before I neglect to do so. The DRT is, of course, the debt refusion theory. It's the DRT, the debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory, the DRT, debt refusion theory is, of course, consequently, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the EU is something which has to be implemented, of course. The DRT, debt refusion theory. So I'm gonna now discuss it. Super important for me to discuss the DRT, debt refusion theory. Super important to discuss the debt refusion theory because it's the solution. Why am I making the statement that is the solution, or something very similar to my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, D for debt, R refusion, T for theory, is the solution to the fact that consequently both the public and the private debt has increased in an exponential manner. So there's so much debt. The debt is so high. The debt is so high that we have no way out of this situation for the debt. There's no way out of the situation for the debt. The debt levels are so high, and consequently the interest which we pay consequently would parallel to the pressures added by the increasing cost of living. Beautiful flowers here. I gotta give some credit to the public workers. Parallel to the downtown. See all the, gotta salute the builders, construction workers on those cranes. That's, you know, rock and roll with that Montreal Hawk Island. And so I gotta cross here prudently and gotta get it for the lovers, the butchers, and the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, the electricians, the plumbers. And so we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get doing with the love side of things, and gotta get doing on that, man. Here we are. So I gotta get, you know. So we're gonna discuss the DRT. Here's my second home. The mountain, see? The mountain plateau. You can enter by this side, by the other side, and by the other side. All around. So basically it goes all around. You can go like a snake. So you can enter by any side. Here, as you see my press videos, we enter by different sides. You know? Different sides. And here we love to come, and this is like my doctor, you know? My mistress. My mistress. My mistress. Well, it's my doctor also, you know, 2 in 1. The forest and the mountain. So here we are there, and here we are on the side, and here we're gonna get those stairs, and we're gonna go inside, and we're gonna switch to that French later, but switch to that French later. Here you can sit if you want. Sit if you want, I guess. If you want, and bus driver. So here you can come and sit if you want, and so we got anybody want to finance? I go up and down these stairs 300 times. Time for the glasses to go inside. Auctioning these glasses, $1 million to give half to my anonymous friend, and like some stormy times coming. Time to put them inside here. My little second-hand $3 butt. Little, it's like a little bag, I guess. The bag. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, is the solution due to the high amount of interest and high amount of debt which we now find ourselves in, both for the public, both for the public and the private. Both for the public and the private. From the public provision and the private position. Of course, we gotta get it on the go, and that's what we gotta get doing. And so we're gonna go in the mountain, you know, on the mountain here. We're gonna go. So, both for a public position and the private position, we're gonna consequently, of course, be on the go and discuss the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the universal exchange unit. So basically, we are in a precarious situation, and please, if you come here, make sure that you're prudent, because there is, of course, falling branches like this one. See, I was just speaking about the danger risks here. And see, this fallen branch fell here, probably during yesterday's storm. So we're just gonna clock it in there. But see, you got fallen branches. So warning, warning, warning. It's, you're now in the wilderness. My mistress doctor here. She can be friendly to some, less to others. You gotta respect certain of her laws, rules, and dominion, I guess. dances with the sun, her brother, you know. DRT, debt refusion theory. DRT, debt refusion theory. DRT, debt refusion theory, you know, for the creation of the universal exchange unit is the solution. The motive, the reason why I'm making that statement is because since, due to the fact that we paid on the public debt so much interest, the increase of interest has risen so much due to the protocols and initiatives which we had to implement during the coronavirus COVID situation between February 2020 and even now. COVID is a new variant in India and China. I don't know if it's here already, but I got triple vax, and I call on all to, of course, utilize public hygienic protocols and public hygienic protocols to utilize public hygienic protocols of public hygiene, you know. That's what I'm urging, and that's what I'm calling about, the public hygiene, and that's what I gotta rock and roll with that, you know, the public hygienic protocols, you know. That's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get on that transmission lines. So that's what we gotta do, and it's an emergency. So even now, today is the full moon, started 3-day full moon until Saturday. Today is Wednesday, so first day of the full moon. Then tomorrow's actually and it goes Wednesday to Thursday, Thursday to Friday, Friday to Saturday, when the Sabbath is gonna be. So full moon march to the mountain here. Of course, we're on the verge of a public financial collapse. And that's how we're gonna be being like that. That's how we be on the go side of thing, and that's how we gotta get rock and rolling. So basically, we're on the verge of a public financial collapse, you know. That's what we got. And that's what we have to be doing. Here we are, man. Hello. Those little small ones, they're kind of cuties, you know. And that's what we got. And dare I say hello, but if they're poodles, I can pet them. Otherwise, I get to sneeze, you know. And that's just what it is with that. And so we gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know. Here we are, you know, for the butchers and the bakers, the nurses, firefighters, and the DRT for all. It has to be implemented. Canada, United States for the 63 ASAP, because we're on the verge of a public and private financial collapse. Also, the majority of the citizens are in a financial crisis, and credit cards are maxed out. We have record-breaking credit cards, record-breaking credit card debt. We have record-breaking credit card debt. So the record-breaking credit card debt, which we now live in. Myself, I don't have credit cards. I have a credit line, RBC credit line. I have an RBC credit line and Royal Bank of Canada, $10,000. And I'm just gonna let my mane out and tangle my hair, because here is a bit of a wild doctor type, dragon wildness. And a little bit of wildness, you know, is necessary. A little bit of wildness is necessary, you know. A little bit of wildness is necessary. So, Canada and United States were in a very similar financial precarious situation, both the public and the private, and especially since the interest has increased by a big proportion. We got to check and revise the numbers in the past 5 years on the public debt of Canada, but nonetheless they have increased very much, sometimes by 20-34%. And of course the economy has not grown parallel by that much of a percentage. So basically we're gonna have to cut and reduce some spending. Uncle Carney, the king is absent, fellow Canadians. Time for the Republic fusion, the United States, and of course the public-private partnership, or the Dragon Army and the Dancing Goddess Army conjointly, for the environmental purposes and for total security, total service, total defense. See how that cracked there? Wow, that was a big one. And of course the DRT has to be implemented, the debt refusion theory, or something very similar, which resembles my DRT theory, for the creation of the UE, of the Universal Exchange Unit, So that's what it has to be done, and that's why we have to be implementing it. So basically we're gonna have to be implementing that and implementing the DRT theory, because we're on the verge of a public and much private financial collapse. It could happen tomorrow, full moon period of 3 days, and otherwise next full moon, July, you know. I think next full moon is going to be when, maybe July 9th, I'm gonna double check on that, but that's something which is a possibility to occur. So the occurrence is a possibility that occurs, you know. So that is a possibility that occurs, and that's what we got, and that's what we gotta get drilling with that, and that's what we have to do to get it on the go now. And we gotta get on that hydration, and gotta get on that planes and work out, and we gotta implement the DRT. So I'm gonna discuss what it is. So check the numbers, and I'm asking my uncle Connie, worked in banking finances, what are we gonna cut in the budget? The RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the prisons, public sanitation, national defense, healthcare, public works. These are all things which are public, and the interest which has increased so much in the past 5 years, it's not sustainable. We are on the verge of a public financial collapse of Canada. It's an alarm, and this is just the realities. We're gonna have to implement my DRT, and since Canada and the United States are in a similar economic, financial, commercial situation, and geopolitically, as an independent geopolitical theoretical honest interest, this statement which I'm gonna make now is a yes. You have to answer, all of us, whether left, right, and center, we have to answer yes to this statement. What I'm gonna say now, this is just like the pi symbol, which represents 3.14, 15, 16 ad infinitum in relation to the circle, and the ratio and the circumference of the circle. So that's what we're gonna have to do. That's how we're gonna have to do it with that, and that's how we're gonna have to do it on the go with that, and that's how we're gonna have to be doing on the side of things, and that's how we're gonna have to be doing it with some love and vigor, implementing my DRT, because geopolitically our main interest, and this is reciprocal, Canada, United States, vice versa, our main political interest, geopolitical interest, is to have the best, most cordial relations with my brothers and sisters in the United States. Economic, financial, commercial, geopolitical, to have the best, most cordial relations with my brothers and sisters in the United States. That is just how it is. That is just what it is, you know. Geopolitically, we gotta get it on the go, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the rock and roll. So geopolitically, our main interest, financial, political interest, geopolitical interest, is to have the best, most cordial relations with my brothers and sisters in the United States. That's just how it is. Geopolitically, this is yes. It's no, not maybe or no. So this never changes. It has not changed in the 20th century, has not changed in the 20th century, and it's not changing today, and it will not change for at least a few more decades in the 21st century. Our main interest in terms of foreign affairs, geopolitical affairs, external affairs, not domestic, for both Canada and the United States, for my brothers and sisters in the United States as well, is to have the best relations with each other, economically, financially, commercially, and of course, economically, commercially, financially, and of course otherwise. And that's what it is. And that's what we gotta get doing now. So that is a yes. It's not a no, it's not a maybe. It's a yes. Our main interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with each other, you know. That's just how it is. And pledge your allegiance, friends with benefits only. And that's just how it is from today onwards. As I live at Carpe Diem and every day, that's why I say friends with benefits only, and pledge your allegiance. I don't want to waste anybody's time, you know. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to waste anybody's time, you know. Life is short. Although reincarnations, yeah, but cyclical, XYZ, but, you know, hug like you never hugged before today, and for tomorrow, we got to implement the DRT. Look at those beautiful rocks. The DRT, debt refusion theory, integrates monetary integration theory in it, which is the financial theory, which was implemented in the European Union, which was implemented in the European Union, which was implemented in the European Union, which was implemented in the European Union. So basically, because it was implemented in the European Union, it is integrated in my DRT, in my debt refusion theory, is integrated monetary integration theory. So inside integrated in my theory is integrated that financial economic theory, the MIT monetary integration theory, which is not to be confused with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It was implemented in the European Union. It's implemented. was implemented in the European Union. And of course, I'm going to use this for now. It was implemented in the European Union. Auctioning this stick for $1 million to give half to my half to my anonymous friend. So basically, of course, we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, my $10,000, your $10,000, whatever the case may be, my $10,000, your $10,000, all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That money we're gonna add it with the US dollar debt. So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars, into US dollars, into US dollars. All that debt, we're gonna add it with the United States debt. All that money is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. For a new central bank. We're gonna call it whatever we call it, but we're gonna create a new currency based on the value of the US dollar. We're gonna call it that, the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange will have the value of the US dollar. So once again, we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, my 10,000, your 10,000, their 10,000, all the public and the private debt converted into US dollars. All that debt is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. We're gonna create this UE. We're gonna make an interest rate level of 10% maximum. So it's not gonna be able to be more than 10% after we implement this theory. It's gonna be 10% max, 10% maximum. So that's just gonna be the total interest. It could be below 10% after that, but not more than 10%. So it's gonna be a new principle, and via that money, by implementing my theory, we're gonna be able to rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective. The bridges, the highways. We're gonna rebuild the bridges, the highways, rebuild the highways, build more hydroelectric dams. Yep, here in Hydro-Quebec, and we're gonna build that Golden Dome, put a hawk in it to include Canada. We're gonna get rid of the border, do a great census, give some amnesty according to certain principle, second, third chances. If you did some breaches and you had some convictions, I guess depending on XYZ, if you had 44 in the past 3.5 years, well, that's quite of a lot, 44 in the past 7 years even, depending on what, if you stole, committed violence and XYZ, then you gotta get some justice, you gotta have some justice and second chances, and I applaud the implementation of my North American, Canada, United States Criminal Rehabilitation Act. Once we're gonna build the 44 mass tunnel structures spread around Canada, United States in case of a thermonuclear war, and above we're gonna have the defense, the sky hawk, and below, just in case it passes through, gonna have those tunnels for the 21st century to have the continuation of the North American civilizational complex, and all who live in the 63 and all ALL who come to join us here in the Kingdom, the Democratic Republic. Pledge your allegiance, friends with benefits only. I don't want to waste nobody's time, I'm financially stressed, but I have trillions of kisses laying the foundations for the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom with 718 trillions of kisses. I'm a kiss from the goddess trillionaire, and we're gonna mass finance fitness, parallel mass finance in tourism. We're also gonna build the 444. We're gonna build on the Canadian-US border the North American Imperial People's Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. The Caesar Superdome, of course, is where my 49ers lost to the Ravens by 3 points, and before that used to be known, it changed the, before that it used to be known as the Mercedes Superdome, and before that it used to be known as the Louisiana Superdome. Before that it has several names, so it changed names several times, just like I changed names. Hey, look at that beautiful cutie. Hello. Beautiful cutie white, man. It's kind of cute, man. no, comes to say hello. And I don't have anything to give, but I don't. Would ask permission, of course, but nonetheless, I was super concentrated, super intense. You know, Aspies when we are in our kind of our bubble of aspiness and so discussing, especially now the DRT. I was so in it, so concentrated, so super focused, and so intense that I even fortunately forgot to mention to my fellow citizens, I hope they're gonna stay safe. But usually you see in my past videos, and yesterday and the day before and the other days and all the past years, that I warned them about falling branches, you know. I warned them about falling branches, and that's how we have to do, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get rock and roll in. So we gotta get doing with the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, you know. So something which we have to be utilizing, you know, now for the North American Collective, you know, the 63, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. We gotta get together on that, and we gotta work to get that drill done, and we gotta build a North American People's Imperial Coliseum, where it's me and Donald Trump are gonna inaugurate it by some boxing. Gonna have some boxing. I've been challenging Donald Trump for boxing match since 2018. Have those red gloves. My anonymous friend gifted them to me back then, and still challenging him now when he took office again, since he took office again. Because the tariffs on Canada were a mistake. That's not the way to invite us. Invite us properly by baking some pies and other good incentives to join and fuse. And my way to fuse Canada and United States best. My ways to fuse Canada and United States best. Public-private partnership, strong entente, and new revised, you know, bills and confederations and federatives, democratic republican state, public-private partnership strong, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta get it on the love side of things, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love, you know. So something which we have to be doing, and that's what we have to be loving to meditate here in the civilizational complex. And here this was built new, so I always gotta take a little bit of time to get a little bit of drill to that, and that's what we gotta get doing on that for the butchers, the bakers, and firefighters, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food. And that's how we gotta get doing with that, and gotta get doing on that transmission. And so we gotta get doing on the left and the right and in the center. And here we are, you know. Here we are. That's what we gotta get doing, man, you know. That's what we gotta get trained, and gotta get it for the DRT, and gotta get doing for the love, you know. Here we are, you know. In a tough economic financial times, the DRT best, debt refusion theory. The debt refusion theory best, and that's what we got, you know. The DRT best, and fusing in the properly way, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know, to fuse properly and implement the DRT for the creation of the UE. We're gonna build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum for sportis and perpetuities. So we're gonna have sports in perpetuity, and inauguration match is gonna be inauguration event. It's gonna be me versus Donald Trump, and we're gonna build on the Canadian-US border to be the biggest, most majestic sports complex ever built. Sports Arena Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome, or one of my top 5 Super Bowls. It has several nicknames. One of the nicknames is Blackout Ball, aka Bro Ball, aka Harbor Ball. Where yours truly also, of course. Where yours truly is gonna fight Donald Trump in it, and build a Forgotten Goddess, GODDSS. Forgotten Goddess Temple. Forgotten Goddess Temple, Goddess Temple. And that's what we're gonna build, and that's what we're gonna do, Forgotten Goddess Temple, and that's what we're gonna get doing. GODDSS and the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow neurodivergents, Aspies, and fellow LGBTQ community. The Rainbow People's Palace and the Scarlet Crimson Scarlet are shades of red. The Pyramid. House of the Dragon. That's what we're gonna build together, and that's what we're gonna do, and that's gonna be that rock and roll with it, and that's how we gotta get drilling, man, you know, that go rock and roll on it, and that's how we gotta get on that. Here we made it all the way to the top. for the butchers, the bakers, and the nurses, and the doctors, and the firefighters, and the plumbers, the electricians, and the butchers, the nurses, and the doctors. Yeah, you know, gotta get it for the son, my Pope the King, and gotta get it for dad, and gotta get it for the lovers, and the butchers, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And she gotta get doing on a little bit of that dancing and create a Dragon Army, create a North American People's Imperial Coliseum Act, the North American Criminal Rehabilitation, implement Operation Northern Scorpio, get a beautiful clouds, gotta build more satellites, gotta build a lot of satellites together, and that's what we're gonna need to be doing. Build sats and create a little bit of that good stuff. And so it says D, total security, total service, total defense, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And so we're gonna get doing, man. You gotta get that hydration acts, and gotta get doing for the bakers and the butchers, the lovers, the nurses, and the doctors, the plumbers, the electricians, and all those. We gotta get it on the go, you know, for the love, for the site. And so we're gonna get drilling. Oh yeah, see, that's the Montreal, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And that's what we gotta get doing on the drill, man. Take a moment to enjoy the headquarters of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom while we're gonna hydrate. Shave off.
Whatever's coming out, coming out. That's where we are now, man. So that's what we're gonna get doing. I'm go in the back, switch a little bit of that French, and go up and down. Make sure, of course, we gotta get it on the go, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. Here we are, right? So we gotta get doing with that. That's how we gotta get doing with that, man. Here we are in the goal, and so we gotta get really good with it, and gotta get it on the go, you know. Here we are.
gotta check that side of the things, and we're gonna go by the side there, and actually we're gonna go by that, you know, for the XYZ. That's what it is with that, and so we gotta get doing by the side like that, and we're gonna show another part of the city, and we're gonna switch a little bit of that French, you know. We're gonna switch a little bit of that French, and here we are at the headquarters. Crows there, and so I said, well, I don't want to go there because there's a lot of people, so I don't want to interfere because I'm kind of in and out today, and that's what it is, and so I gotta ask, that's what it is for that, and so I gotta get doing on the sides, man. We can go down by that side and go by that side. There's several sides which you can go with. Of course, you can come by many sides here and enjoy. So once again, the DRT theory, debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, is was the best way to do it. And so we do, man. Here we go, so we're gonna go by that side. You can go down, and here we're gonna go in the wilderness, back into the wild, back into the wilderness. Back into the wilderness. You ready? We're gonna spit a little bit of that French, and here we are. Gonna get it for the go, and get it for the doers, and get it for the left, and get it for the right, and get it for the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So gotta get XYZ, and gotta get it for the left and the right, and the butchers and the bakers, and all my cousins, family there. Getting a little bit of that good vibes, and good entertainment, and some texting, some of that 3G, 4G, 5G, passing through the 4Gs or the 5Gs or whatever the capacity that they're passing about. And that's what we're gonna get doing, man. And we're gonna get it now and get the DRT and pledge your allegiance, our family, for the 63. Some cadence coming up for the 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. Please be careful if you come here. You got projectiles coming up, and we need to get that more drones and total service, total security, total defense. The SSD. That's the purpose of the Dragon Army, which is going to be public-private partnership based. All institutions, organizations across the 63. We're going to create that common currency, the UE, or common passport. We're going to, of course, do a census, and give some amnesty. Some workers, especially building those 44, constructing building those 44 towns inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. Inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and that's what we're gonna do with that, and so we're gonna do it on the go, and so we're gonna get on that XYZ, and so we're gonna get it for now, you know, for the butchers, bakers, and the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, you know. Gotta get that justice, and here we can inspire well. I love coming here. It's such a beautiful place. It's my second home, my mistress, not just mine, my doctor, my mistress, and I love coming here, and we got a little bit of that good vibrations, and you got a little bit of that good loving there for the XYZ, and you gotta get from my fellow citizens who come here, you gotta be prudent because of course there's danger for falling branches. You gotta let them know that there's danger of branches. Hello. You English, French?
No, Ruski.
No, Ruski. Be careful, Ruski, because sometimes the branches fall from above. Like this one, they can fall because it's
Понятно.
careful, you know?
Ну, спасибо,
Just-
да, поняли, ага, аккуратно.
Yes, that, yeah. Bye. Have a nice day. So to the best of my ability, told them to be careful, to be careful that they, you know, be careful for the branches, to be careful, to be safe, you know, because the best of my ability in French or English, because I saw they're going slow, so the slower you go, the more you're at risk. And you know, it looks like some windy comes, and there's branches which are about to fall. There I saw a few, so I'm always got to take a little bit of Good Samaritan, and that's my favorite skyscraper there. See the pyramid? Look at that pyramid, and we're going to switch a little bit to that French because we're in La Belle Province. Grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and got food and coffee, and always grateful, always thankful, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee, and you know, we're going to put it in for the 63. For the 63, we're going to spit it up a little bit in that French, and here at the top of the mountain for the 63, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, and give some charity millionaires to support the DRT and Bill Gates, YouTube, and of course all the plumbers, electricians, the nurses, the doctors, and the IT workers. Need you, Dragon Army, pledge your legions. Give money, mouth. It's holy, sacred, and divine. If it's not for blessing, otherwise there'll be pestilence. And we gotta get it on that drill. And you know, we gotta build more and build total security and implement total defense and total service. SSD goes together, eh? Security, service, and defense. And always we gotta have the total mobile defense theory, the TMDT, the total mobile defense theory, TMDT. And when it becomes a system, I cannot discuss it overly much, but when it becomes a system, that means that we implement the total mobile defense theory, which I cannot overly divulge too many details. It's mostly in my head and here by heart because I developed it. I started in 2017 when I crossed Canada coast to coast. When I was down at the event, which changed my whole life. So now we got to rock it a little bit in that French because we're in La Belle Province. So let's rock and roll là. Bienvenue. On est sur la montagne québécois et québécoise en vous encourageant. Le monde royal ici, le docteur, ma maîtresse, la forêt, puis bien sûr, parallèlement à ma maîtresse, bien, c'est bien sûr ma maîtresse, c'est pas juste la mienne, puis c'est comme mon docteur, je veux dire, mon docteur, ma maîtresse ici, mais c'est bien sûr quelque chose que je dois envisager moi-même de faire un compromis, puis j'avertis les gens qu'il y a du danger ici, hein, quand vous vous aventurez ici dans la forêt, que vous soyez avertis que s'il y a un danger additionnel, là, à cause que les branches tombent, et même après la tempête d'hier, c'est sûr que il y a un danger additionnel d'en haut, c'est ça que j'essaie de dire aux citoyens qui ont passé, mais ils ne parlaient pas français ni anglais, fait que le russe, non, je parle pas le russe, anglais, français, espagnol, je me débrouille, puis c'est quand même quelque chose que je dois faire un effort, là, mais c'est sûr que je sois prudent. Si vous venez ici, hein, c'est sûr qu'il y a un danger additionnel, comme je l'ai dit auparavant, puis ce danger-là, ça fait que c'est les branches qui tombent. Le premier jour que je porte mon chandail avec Montréal, je le vends pour 1 million, donner la moitié à mon ami anonyme, ainsi que les bottes, les souliers, les sous-vêtements, qu'est-ce que je porte, la casquette, et bien sûr, je vous encourage, Québécois en entraînement physique, en parlant des branches qui sont tombées, hein. Regardez, là, c'est la preuve, fait que c'est pour ça que j'avertis les gens dans les vidéos, tu sais. Des fois, c'est moi qui les tasse d'ici sur le chemin. L'autre bord, la gauche, la droite, vous voyez comme cette branche-là est petite, mais tombée d'en haut, puis ça peut tomber sur quelqu'un. Si vous venez ici avec des animaux, des chiens ou quoi que ce soit, c'est sûr que c'est super important, bien sûr, de le dire dans cet environnement, d'avoir, bien sûr, un environnement où on est rendu ici en haut de la montagne, bien sûr, c'est de faire, bien sûr, un grand compromis linguistique qu'on fait, bien sûr, puis je dois, bien sûr, moi-même y travailler, bien sûr, moi-même sur le compromis compromis linguistique pour l'avoir, bien sûr, dans ce compromis linguistique que je dois faire, bien sûr, moi-même, ici sur la montagne, que je suis rendu, puis j'adore venir ici. Ça fait du bien pour la santé mentale, pour le moral, pour le bien-être là, total. Là. C'est ma maîtresse, mon docteur, mais mon seul stress maintenant vraiment est financier, économique. Je suis en crise financière, mais ben, je veux dire, j'ai un 10 000 de dette, puis j'ai pas de gros revenus. Là. Fait, le mois de juillet, on est déjà le 11, c'est la pleine lune de la déesse. Mais je dois quand même dire ma gratitude. La gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café, du thé, puis je m'aventure ici en venir sur la montagne, puis j'adore faire ça, l'entraînement physique, bien sûr, c'est 24/24, c'est juste que je vis bien sûr dans cette condition de l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, et avec l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, l'Asperger's, c'est plus difficile les relations sociales, car nous, les HP, on a une manière d'être et de dire certaines choses d'une manière, bien sûr, qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui, tu sais, où il y a plus de démystification de qu'est-ce que c'est l'Asperger's. Mais bien sûr, on a de la misère dans certaines choses. On peut être direct ou on peut offenser certaines choses. La manière qu'on dit, bien sûr, c'est certaines choses, bien sûr, qu'on peut offenser d'une manière plus spécifique que d'autres, mais ça dépend dans quel sujet qu'on s'aventure, parce que c'est sûr que moi, dans la manière qu'on communique, c'est des fois plus difficile pour la conversation, ça peut être un peu bizarre, parce que nous, les Aspergers, on fait partie de cette petite minorité de gens, bien sûr, qui sont neurodivergents. Fait que cette communauté de neurodivergents, on n'est pas gros dans le monde. Hein. Il n'y a pas bien des gens dans le monde. Hein. C'est 0,44%, hein. Moins d'1%, mais de la moitié d'un pourcentage. Fait que 0,5%, moins d'1%, 0,44. 0,44. Il n'y a pas bien des Aspergers dans le monde. 0,44%, c'est pas beaucoup, hein? Fait que je dois vivre avec, comme je vis avec mes cicatrices, la perte de mémoire, pas la perte de mémoire d'hier à aujourd'hui, mais j'ai de la misère à me souvenir avant, plus que 7 ans, ça va, plus que 8, c'est correct, 9, ouais, pas pire, 10, ça commence à être embrouillé, puis après 11, ça devient difficile, mes mémoires, je sais pas si c'est à cause que j'ai été attaqué par surprise, à un moment donné, je suis tombé, je connais ma tête, puis je suis tout ensanglé, là. Ensanglé. Je vais aller peut-être la semaine prochaine pour mes dents, puis je suis encore en attente de médecine famille, là, mais je dois aller à l'hôpital juif voir les archives, parce que là, je suis allé après, je me suis fait attaquer, puis j'avais mon bras droit disloqué, là. Le bras droit était tout disloqué, ils m'ont recraqué, ils m'ont mis en place dans l'hôpital juif, j'ai été mis sur des médicaments, j'étais comme dans un coma, un petit coma, une couple de jours. Fait que je sais pas si c'est où j'habitais aussi, à Moisissure, la petite place, comme une petite cellule de prison, ou c'est peut-être la consommation de drogue. Je consomme pas de drogue aujourd'hui, c'est vraiment rare. La dernière fois j'ai acheté du cannabis, mais j'ai acheté pour l'été, pour cet été, mais avant ça, j'avais pas acheté depuis 4 ans. C'est juste là parce que j'avais fait un peu d'argent, fait que j'ai acheté pour pas beaucoup, là, moins cher sur le marché. Peut-être ça va me garder encore un couple d'années, juste ça, là, parce que je consomme pas beaucoup de drogue, je bois pas beaucoup d'alcool, puis j'ai un revenu très faible. Mais je sais pas avant, c'est ça le problème avant, 11 ans peut-être, c'était l'alcool aussi. L'alcool, là, ça peut... Les alcooliques, des fois, ils peuvent perdre de mémoire. Fait que je sais pas si je buvais de la... C'est parce que je buvais vraiment beaucoup d'alcool. J'étais alcoolique peut-être, puis ou de la consommation de drogue intense, tu sais. Je sais pas, qu'est-ce que je m'en souviens, c'est que j'ai déménagé là où j'habitais. J'étais en dépression suicidaire, puis en 2017, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. De côte à côte, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. En l'été 2017, là, puis cet événement, ça m'a complètement changé ma vie. Je le répète souvent parce que j'ai écrit des théories, parce que je suis un philosophe, un artiste, un athlète et analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, moi-même pour le Collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, pour les 63, les 10 provinces, 50 territoires et 3 territoires. Donc ça fait 10 plus 50 plus 3 pour les Canada et États-Unis. Et bien sûr, que j'ai écrit pour financer par un partenariat public-privé les citoyens du Canada, des États-Unis, vice-versa, pour l'un et l'autre, pour le tourisme, parce que moi, ça m'a tellement fait du bien. Là. J'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, le Canada et les États-Unis en traversant le Canada. Puis quand je suis arrivé à Banff, j'ai eu comme un rêve. J'ai dit « Wow! C'était un paradis ici, de montagne rocheuse, c'était un paradis de montagne. Puis j'ai eu comme un réveil, puis ça m'a complètement changé ma vie. J'ai commencé à m'entraîner parce que j'étais pas mal plus gros que je suis maintenant, plus obèse. J'ai perdu entre 80 et 93 livres. J'ai créé mon propre système d'entraînement physique, donc j'ai fait moi-même 372. Et je dois dire que moi, tu sais, avec l'Asperger's, on me l'a dit depuis des années que plusieurs diagnostics, là, que j'avais d'Asperger's, mais c'est plusieurs personnes qui me l'ont dit. Mais malheureusement, j'ai pas voulu l'accepter pendant bien des années, mais juste dernièrement, il y a 3 ans et demi, que je l'ai accepté, juste il y a 3 ans et demi, que je l'ai accepté, juste il y a 3 ans et demi, que je l'ai accepté moi-même, tu sais, que je l'ai accepté, que j'ai l'Asperger's, tu sais. Fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans cet environnement, bien sûr, où qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui. Je vais aller par ici. Fait que c'est bien sûr qu'il faut que je le dise moi-même, que je suis ici dans la manière, bien sûr, qu'on soit rendu de cette affaire de l'être, bien sûr. Asperger's, autisme, des fois, c'est une condition de neurodivergence, c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste que nous, les aspis, notre cerveau, il est différent. On a des mutations dans le cerveau. Fait qu'à cause de ces mutations, ça fait que la manière qu'on communique, des fois verbalement, ou sur certains sujets, on a de la misère. Et c'est pas des symptômes, j'utilise pas le mot symptôme parce que des symptômes, c'est pour une maladie mentale ou pour une maladie, tu sais. Car l'Asperger, c'est pas une maladie. C'est une condition de neurodivergence. Ça fait que on a certaines caractéristiques telles quelles, répéter des phrases 2-3 fois. Écolélia, ça veut dire, l'écolélia, c'est une caractéristique de l'Asperger. Ça veut dire que toi, quelqu'un va dire une phrase, un aspi, comme moi-même aussi, moi, va dire exactement, mot par mot, comme on dit en latin, verbatim per verbatim, chaque phrase, chaque mot que vous avez dit. Fait que ça peut paraître bizarre, tu sais, pas parce qu'on veut se moquer, être cruel ou n'importe quoi, c'est juste des caractéristiques de l'Asperger ou aussi briser l'espace personnel de quelqu'un, tu sais, l'espace personnel de 2-3 pieds, 2-3 mètres. Un aspi va peut-être s'approcher tellement proche du visage de 2-3 pouces, 2-3 pouces, 4 pouces, 5 pouces, que la personne, le citoyen, ne va pas savoir. Il va falloir que vous vous dites, hey, prends une distance, s'il te plaît. Comme moi, il faut, en tant qu'aspi, il faut nous le dire. Il faut dire, s'il te plaît, tu peux-tu prendre un 2 mètres de distance, 1 mètre, un pas, puis oui, pas de problème, puis je suis quelqu'un qui n'aime pas la violence. C'est juste que nous, on est plus direct des fois dans certaines choses. C'est ça le problème, la malcommunication. Des fois, tu sais, on peut être trop direct, ça peut offenser des gens, ça peut créer même de l'angoisse, de l'inquiétude, de l'insécurité, là, tu sais. Parce qu'on peut être très intense, très concentré, super dedans, surtout quand on discute, quand on fait le travail dans nos intérêts spéciaux. Parce que notre routine, les aspis, notre routine rituelle, comme un rituel routine, ça se tourne autour de nos intérêts spéciaux. Ces intérêts-là spéciaux, ça se tourne bien sûr autour de ces intérêts, puis bien sûr, ces intérêts pour moi-même, parce que ça varie. Hein. Je suis un individu faisant partie de cette petite communauté, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Asperger's dans le monde. C'est moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage. C'est 0,44%, fait qu'il n'y en a pas beaucoup là, dans le monde. Là. C'est même pas si connu, mais des gens ne savent pas c'est quoi. Je leur dis des fois c'est quoi, puis ils disent j'ai aucune idée c'est quoi, je sais même pas, j'ai jamais entendu vraiment. Puis je leur explique c'est quoi, puis faut pas qu'ils s'inquiètent, là, ou qu'ils pensent que c'est une maladie mentale, ou juste me le dire, si je parle de mon sujet, aussi connu comme intérêt obsessif, la géopolitique, il faut me le dire, ben écoute, je connais pas trop de la géopolitique, il faut me le dire. Ça m'intéresse pas vraiment. Puis that's it, that's all, rock-and-roll. Ou le rock-and-roll. C'est soit la géopolitique, le rock-and-roll pour moi, puis bien sûr la trinité, l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique que je préfère, c'est la danse. Fait que si vous voulez vous engager avec moi sur un de ces 3-là, je suis toujours prêt pour ça. L'entraînement physique, la danse, la géopolitique, la géostratégie, la géopolitique, l'analyse, la théorie en géopolitique ou le rock'n'roll. Puis je veux faire juste des amis avec bénéfice seulement. Juste des amis avec bénéfice seulement. Juste des amis avec bénéfice seulement. Et juste des amis avec bénéfice seulement. Mais bien sûr, en ce moment, parce que je veux pas perdre le temps de personne aussi. Là, je veux pas perdre le temps de personne aussi. Là. Juste les amis avec bénéfice, prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille. 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 Puis that's it, that's all. C'est tout. C'est pas pour être compliqué dans ces choses-là. Des fois, on doit simplifier les choses, mais pour nous, c'est plus difficile. Parce que nous, on a les aspis, on a une tendance d'utiliser des mots trop sophistiqués, trop un peu intellectuels pour que les gens comprennent. Tu sais, des fois, c'est une autre caractéristique qui peut créer de la malcompréhension. Tu sais. Parce qu'on va utiliser des mots un peu trop sophistiqués, intellectuels, académiques dans certaines choses ou que ça ne requiert pas, c'est pas nécessaire, en d'autres mots, ces mots-là, c'est ça le problème, tu sais. C'est ça que ça peut être un problème pour les aspis. Puis malheureusement, dans ma communauté, ben, le taux de chômage, le taux de sans-emploi est très élevé. C'est 11 fois plus. 11 fois plus, 11 fois plus, 11 fois plus que la plupart des gens. Vous, la majorité, là, les neurotypiques, les 99,56%, vous faites partie de la majorité. Un taux d'emploi de 5 à 11%, ça varie, ça fluctue. Mais nous, là, c'est entre 60 et 80%. Puis nous, moi-même aussi, j'ai eu bien de l'emploi. J'ai eu bien du travail. Et regardez les champignons. Hein. Bien du travail, j'ai bien aimé, mais malheureusement, c'est garder l'emploi ou garder des amis ou des choses comme ça. C'est difficile pour les Asperger. C'est difficile. C'est... Parce que notre cerveau, il y a des mutations. Fait que nous, on voit le monde différemment. Fait que dans certaines choses sociales, c'est difficile. On ne peut pas engager dans certaines choses parce que on est médiocre, on n'est pas bon, on est comme ça dans les autres choses. T'sais. Mais nous, on a de la compassion, là, l'empathie. C'est pas ça le problème. C'est que nous, on va le montrer par des actions. À place de dire, ben, je m'excuse, je suis désolé pour toi, nous les aspects, on va montrer par des actions, donc si on peut faire quelque chose pour aider, soit soulager, si tu as un mot, comme tantôt, je suis allé faire une commission, je suis allé prendre un paquet pour mon ami anonyme. On le montre par des actions en place de dire, bon, je m'excuse pour toi. Dans d'autres mots, on ne va pas nécessairement consoler de manière verbale. Parce que, tu sais, des fois, c'est pas notre faute. Ou des fois, je dis, tu sais, quand je dis, je suis honnête, ben, je suis un peu stressé financièrement, puis des citoyens disent, je suis désolé, puis moi, je dis, ben, pourquoi vous êtes désolé? Parce que c'est pas votre faute que vous êtes, tu sais, ça, c'est, puis ils sont, puis vous, les neurotypiques, vous savez pas à quoi vous attendre parce que je l'ai répondu de même. C'est juste ça, l'Asperger. Tu sais, je veux dire, parce que, comme des fois, tu sais, je dis, ben, je suis en crise financière, puis quelqu'un dit, je suis désolé, mais vous n'allez pas être désolé, c'est pas votre faute. Pas votre faute. C'est ça, vous comprenez? C'est ça, l'Asperger, c'est... c'est pas facile, je vous dis, c'est pas facile. Je dois toujours bâtir des ponts avec les neurotypiques. Toujours bâtir des ponts avec les neurotypiques. Toujours bâtir des ponts. Puis je suis quelqu'un qui n'aime pas la violence, je l'ai vécu, j'ai mes cicatrices, j'ai mon front, mais maintenant je suis de bonne humeur, puis je suis content, je viens. Tantôt, au début de la vidéo, vous voyez que j'ai eu des gâteaux. Là. J'ai eu des gâteaux, ça a été un don. J'ai laissé pour les autres aussi. Il y avait d'autres petits gâteaux, d'autres petits chocolats, et d'autres choses dans le frigidaire. Mais j'ai pris pour moi, puis mon ami anonyme. J'avais pris un peu pour moi, parce que c'est la pleine lune, fait qu'on célèbre un peu la déesse, Dieu déesse, bien sûr. Puis moi, je suis aussi mystique, je crois à la réincarnation. Des fois, j'ai été né homme-femme, femme-homme. Maintenant, ben, vous avez le androgène pansexuel, aspect artiste, athlète, philosophe, analyste, théoricien en géopolitique. Monsieur, madame, 50-50. Ici, j'étais né sur l'île de Montréal, avant que le Québec d'aujourd'hui. J'étais québécoise, mais c'était vraiment la Nouvelle-France. À la fin de 1604, entre 1677 et 1725, tu sais, fait que c'était un autre Québec, ça fait plus que 300 ans, tu sais. Fait que des réincarnations, homme-femme, femme-femme, maintenant vous avez 50-50. Fait que là, je veux discuter, je ne veux pas tarder, je veux juste discuter. La situation actuelle qui se déroule aux États-Unis est inquiétante un peu vis-à-vis le déploiement des Marines. Puis, j'étais né aux États-Unis, puis j'ai servi dans l'armée américaine 2 fois, dans 2 guerres différentes, 156 ans à part, 156 ans à part, 156 ans à part. Puis, mes théories et mes protocoles sont pour la défense seulement. C'est ça qu'il faut comprendre, que moi, mes théories, mes protocoles, mes initiatives sont seulement pour la défense de ce que j'appelle le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. Pour les 10 provinces, 50 États et 3 territoires. Pour la sécurité, service, défense. Et même si je suis un grand philosophe intellectuel, académique dans la géopolitique du monde international, puis je spécialise dans la guerre froide qui a duré plus que 44 ans, quasiment 45, proche de 45 ans, entre mars 1947 et décembre 1991. C'est sûr, ça a duré longtemps. Et c'est sûr, ça a presque
duré 45 ans, puis aujourd'hui on est à la veille d'avoir une troisième guerre mondiale que j'ai prévu moi-même, cette conflagration internationale qui se passe maintenant, je l'ai prévu en octobre-novembre 2019 et j'ai la preuve parce que j'ai la vidéo en ligne. J'avais fait un scénario de troisième guerre mondiale et ça se déroule parallèlement en circonstances d'une manière similaire à ce que j'ai prévu, pas par chaque détail à chaque détail. C'est pour ça, vous voyez, je dis les gens qu'il faut attention là, parce que ça, vous voulez pas que ça tombe, c'est tombé peut-être hier dans une grosse tempête là, mais ça, il faut faire attention, je la tasse, parce que des fois, les cyclistes viennent vite, là. Les cyclistes viennent vite par ici, fait que ça évite d'avoir à trébucher pour la sécurité un peu, là. Je dois tasser les branches qui sont sur le chemin. Et bien sûr, là, je ne veux pas tarder, mais encore une fois, c'est quand même le déploiement des Marines et la garde nationale. C'est quand même quelque chose de questionnable. Moi, vous savez, je suis un centriste. Mon centriste, par exemple, il est pro-révolutionnaire universel, puis il est nord-américain centrique, parce que mes initiatives protocoles sont fondamentalement pour fusionner le Canada et les États-Unis à travers un partenariat public-privé vraiment en conséquence. Puis par la création de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé, soit l'armée du Dragon, pour la sécurité, service et défense totale seulement, SSD de côte à côte de océan, et bien sûr l'armée de la déesse qui danse pour l'environnement. Parce qu'on est rendu, bien sûr, vous voyez, là, que des fois je fais moi-même, je regarde dans les poubelles, puis je vois que c'est des choses qui devraient aller dans le recyclage. Fait que je vous fais appel, c'est l'individu puis le collectif ensemble. Parce que si moi je ne le fais pas, le recyclage comme il faut, si vous, des fois, chaque poubelle que je regarde dedans, des fois dedans, bien je vois que il y a de la poubelle. Vice-versa, il y a des bouteilles en plastique, du recyclage ou de l'aluminium qui devraient aller dans le recyclage. Juste l'autre jour, j'avais pris, j'ai dit, c'était une grosse bouteille, puis j'ai dit, je vais mettre dans le bac de recyclage, je vais faire un effort, puis je vais me laver les mains après, là, mais c'est sûr qu'il faut qu'on fasse notre part, tu sais. Il faut qu'on fasse notre part, méchant, c'est ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse, nous autres. Si ça prend l'individu, le collectif, puis mon rêve, le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse, est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé pour les 63. Pour la fusion des États-Unis, pour qu'on fasse ensemble, pour qu'on fasse une monnaie commune. Pour qu'on fasse une monnaie commune. Et bien sûr, une monnaie commune, on doit le faire, et par la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, et on doit faire un grand recensement. Encore une fois, je dois discuter bien sûr de la situation aux États-Unis, bientôt dans un gros discours, peut-être par du café et du thé, peut-être demain, ou dans les jours à venir, voir où ça s'en va, mais c'est questionnable. Qu'est-ce que je dois leur demander à la garde nationale, comme je demande à tous nos frères et sœurs en uniforme et la police, c'est sportsmanship, tu sais. Je sais, j'utilise un anglicisme, là, vous allez pas me donner une amende à cause de ça, s'il vous plaît, mais bon. Parce que moi, je fais ma part pour le français, hein. Je chante du rock-and-roll au quotidien, j'en compose des chansons, des idées de films, de cinéma, venez pas donner d'amende, j'ai pas d'argent à vous donner, même ça. Je suis en crise financière, fait que je vais pas me vider les poches, j'ai 25 cents dans une autre, puis 25 cents dans l'autre. Fait que c'est pas beaucoup, mais j'ai la gratitude, là, parce que j'ai du vin chez nous pour la fin de semaine. Le sabbat de la fin de semaine sur le de la déesse du dragon. Puis, en tout cas, c'est inquiétant un peu, mais je demande du sportsmanship. Puis, je suis quelqu'un qui n'aime pas la violence. T'sais. J'aime pas la violence, mais je suis hyper vigilant. Je vis en hypervigilance moi-même parce que j'ai vécu mon propre trauma. J'ai plein de cicatrices sur le corps, puis sur le visage, puis même sur mes petites parties. Clitopénis, pénis, clitopénis, 50-50. La TRD, je vous la discute, puis encore une fois, du sportsmanship dans les interactions. Puis, tu sais, c'est aussi, comme je chante pour nos frères et sœurs en uniforme, hein, puis les pompiers, les boulangers, les travailleurs de l'Hydro-Québec, les pompiers, les boulangers, tous ceux, les travailleurs en construction, je dois chanter aussi du rock-and-roll pour mes frères et sœurs qui prennent leur deuxième, troisième chance, puis vous tournez votre vie, vous changez votre vie, puis vous changez votre vie d'avoir fait votre peine ou votre freine. Puis moi, je dis, j'ai fait de ma peine moi aussi quand j'habitais où j'habitais. Peut-être que j'aurais été mort si j'aurais resté là-bas, je sais pas. J'ai changé ma vie aussi bien une fois. Puis s'il vous plaît, gardez les protocoles de la COVID, là. sais, l'hygiène publique, s'il vous plaît. L'hygiène publique, le plus que vous pouvez. Dans le public, on a des responsabilités. Puis là, avec les nouvelles qu'il y a eu peut-être un potentiel double agroterrorisme, c'est possible qu'on doit avoir une autre vague de COVID dans la Chine puis l'Inde. Supposément une autre vague, une autre mutation. Fait que gardez les protocoles. Moi, je me suis fait vacciner 3 fois, mais c'est tout pour moi. Puis là, je vais pas tarder. Je vais discuter la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Qu'est-ce que c'est? C'est la théorie, R, refusion de la dette. Ça contient dans de cette théorie la théorie d'intégration monétaire, qui est la théorie financière que les Européens ont fait l'implémentation dans les années 80. Mais pourquoi je dis que c'est la théorie qui peut nous sauver d'où qu'on est rendu du point de vue financièrement public et privé. On vit une crise. On est proche d'un effondrement financier, pas juste privé, mais public. Parce que durant les 5 ans qui viennent de se passer depuis février 2020, quand moi-même j'ai eu la COVID, puis je pensais que j'allais mourir. Je pensais vraiment que c'était mon dernier chapitre en février. Puis depuis ce temps-là, je vis au quotidien carpe diem. Carpe diem, comme si ça serait mon dernier jour, mais j'ai de l'espoir pour demain, surtout quand je vois des gens qui font l'entraînement physique. Qui se tiennent par la main. Puis la jeunesse qui danse, qui s'aime, comme tantôt j'ai vu qu'ils dansaient dans un coin de rue sur un banc, puis ça m'a fait sourire, ça m'a amené de la joie. Je dis, ben c'est ça qu'il faut. C'est ça qu'il faut qu'ils dansent, puis sont en sécurité, puis qu'ils dansent libre, en sécurité, puis en joie, puis avec la gratitude aussi, hein, parce que toute la civilisation qu'on a bâtie, qu'est-ce que j'appelle le grand collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. Le grand collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, c'est tout un grand privilège, tu sais. Tout un grand privilège. Avoir ce compromis, avoir ce compromis linguistique qu'on a fait, qu'est-ce que j'ai fait en tant que philosophe, le grand compromis linguistique du français. Le grand compromis linguistique du français, bien sûr, c'est quelque chose qu'on a fait ensemble, c'est qu'on doit continuer à le faire moi-même aussi. Si moi je le fais pas, là, oh wow, ça c'est un danger ici, la branche, vous voyez qui est tombée. Fait que là, je vais pas tarder, mais je veux dire qu'on est à risque d'avoir un effondrement. Même demain, c'est possible que ça arrive, un effondrement des finances publiques. Parce qu'on est rendu à payer tellement un intérêt, c'est gros l'intérêt qu'on a payé sur la dette publique, tellement gros l'intérêt, là. C'était rendu à combien, là? Ça a augmenté le pourcentage à chaque année entre 2020 et cette année, là, parce qu'à cause de la COVID, on a dû implémenter au niveau fédéral public, dans les finances publiques, les programmes pour soutenir la population en crise. Parce que sinon, on n'allait pas sauver la population qui a été en détresse pour les loyers, pour la nourriture, pour les autres biens, tout ça. C'est sûr qu'à cause de la coronavirus, l'économie, puis les finances, puis le commerce, ça a eu un stress énorme financièrement. C'est pour ça qu'on doit faire l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. À cause qu'on est rendu à avoir tellement de souffrances possibles, et même qu'aux États-Unis, Canada, on est dans une situation similaire, public-privé, bien sûr, les gens, le surendettement avec les cartes de crédit, même maintenant, les gens sont en train de dépenser sur les cartes de crédit. Parallèlement, le problème double trouble économique, financier, commercial, c'est que les prix n'arrêtent pas d'augmenter. Comme moi-même, j'ai dû réduire. D'habitude, j'ai acheté chaque barre de chocolat pour 50 cents. Pour ma fin de semaine, j'en ai acheté 6 pour les 3 soirées, tu sais. Vendredi, samedi puis dimanche. Le dimanche, je pense qu'il m'en restait quasiment pas, là, mais c'était 50 cents. Là, ça a augmenté à 63 cents. C'est 13 cents d'augmentation, mais le pourcentage, en proportion mathématiquement, c'est 26% chaque barre de chocolat. Fait que 26%, c'est gros, hein? L'augmentation, 26%. Le café que j'achetais avant, ça a plus que doublé le prix. Puis les salaires n'ont pas doublé, n'ont pas augmenté de 26%. La moyenne de salaire qui a augmenté, c'est 4,4%. Ça, c'est un beau poème. Ça parle de la tonnerre qu'on avait entendu hier. Un beau poème qui parle de la tonnerre. Fait que la tonnerre ici. J'aime ça, la tonnerre, le soleil, mon papa, ça me dérange pas la porte, tempête de la tonnerre, qui sont dans le dieu des déesses qui me chantent. Le frère, l'oncle, le frère, l'oncle, c'est. Et c'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Je dois vous en parler le plus tôt possible. Parce qu'on est proche d'un effondrement, c'est un paradoxe, avec toutes les souffrances, cette malédiction que j'ai eue en perdant les amis, l'emploi, l'Asperger, ce que je vous propose, puis je vous mets sur la table. Pas juste des milliards de bisous, des canets, puis des châteaux, puis du Rock&Roll, mais je vous mets aussi la TRD. La théorie de la refusion de la dette. La théorie de la refusion de la dette. La théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui inclut la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Théorie d'intégration monétaire. c'est sûr qu'il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de ma TRD, la théorie de la refusion la théorie de la refusion de la dette, bien sûr. C'est la théorie de la refusion de la dette. La théorie de la refusion de la dette, et bien sûr, c'est la TRD, qu'on doit faire l'implémentation de la TRD, puis on fait la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, super important qu'on fasse le plus tôt possible l'implémentation de cette théorie. Ça presse, c'est urgent, c'est urgent vraiment. Là, on est dans une situation d'urgence, fait que je vous l'explique. La TRD contient en dentelle la théorie d'intégration monétaire, qui est la théorie que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation dans les années 80. Puis on a détruit leur banque nationale, les Allemands, les Italiens, ils n'ont plus de banque nationale. Il y a une banque commune. Il y a une banque commune, l'euro, qui ont mis en circulation l'euro. Fait qu'on, ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient cette théorie. Fait que on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, incluant mon 10 000. J'ai 10 000 $ de dette à la Banque Royale. Donc, on va prendre mon 10 000, ton 10 000, toute la dette publique-privée canadienne. On va faire la conversion de toute la dette publique canadienne dans la devise des États-Unis. Tout cet argent-là, toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire cette refusion, puis on va faire l'addition avec la dette publique-privée des États-Unis. Ça qui vient vite en cycliste, je dois traverser vite. Ok, traverse. Ça, il faut être prudent comme sur l'autoroute, comme sur la route, là. Puis ici, si vous venez, puis faites attention parce que ça glisse après la pluie, là, hier, puis il y a encore de la boue. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000 de côte à côte, toute la dette publique-privée du Canada, on va faire la refusion, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis, dans la devise des États-Unis. Dans la devise des États-Unis. Cet argent-là, bien sûr, on va faire l'addition avec la dette publique-privée des États-Unis parce qu'il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de la TRD ensemble. La TRD ensemble, il faut qu'on fasse la TRD, théorie de la refusion ensemble, avec les États-Unis. Parce qu'on est dans une situation similaire, puis c'est pour le collectif, il faut que ça soit binational. C'est pour le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord qu'il faut qu'on fasse cette théorie de la refusion de la dette. Et donc, c'est possible. Et puis on doit faire ensemble la TRD. Regardez un serpent, non, c'est juste ma ceinture. Je vais juste l'attacher, donnez-moi 2 secondes. Je vais juste l'attacher, bien sûr, que ça soit bien sûr dans ce compromis du plancher qu'on vient de faire. Fait que juste l'attacher, faut pas que ça. Quand je descends ici, des fois la ceinture, si la serrure n'est pas bien, ça pète un peu, la serrure n'est pas bien, ça pète un peu. Fait que c'est la serrure, bien sûr, que ça soit de cette théorie d'intégration monétaire. C'est des choses qu'on fasse. Fait que bien sûr, on va devoir faire la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000, son 10 000, ton 10 000, et son 10 000, son 10 000, mon 10 000, toute la dette publique-privée. On va faire la conversion ensemble. Toute cette dette-là, avec la dette publique des États-Unis, on va faire l'addition ensemble, la dette publique canadienne. Et vous voyez, cette branche-là vient de tomber ici. Ça, c'est pour ça, hein, c'est pour ça que je vous dis. Hein. Ça, j'avertis les gens dans toutes mes vidéos quand ils viennent. Vous voyez que j'avertis les gens, là, parce que, vous voyez, celle-là aussi n'est pas si grosse, mais c'est quand même des branches qui tombent hein, d'en haut. Fait que c'est pour ça que j'avertis toujours les gens, soyez prudents. Si vous venez ici, vous êtes à risque. C'est pour ça que quand vous entendez craquer, regardez en haut, puis soyez prêts à bouger un peu. Celle-là, elle s'est implantée direct. Celle-là, elle s'est implantée directement, tu sais. Fait qu'on va tasser ici. Fait que toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire la conversion dans la devise. Dans la devise. Tu sais. Dans la devise des États-Unis. Fait que toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis. Toute cette dette-là, on va faire l'addition avec la dette des États-Unis. Cet argent-là, ça va être l'argent initial pour la fondation d'une nouvelle banque. Donc, on va mettre en circulation une nouvelle monnaie, l'UI. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. U point unité, E point échange universel. U point échange universel. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. Le UI. Le UI, on ne s'ostinera pas bien sûr, parce que le UI va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. L'unité d'échange universelle. On ne s'ostinera pas en anglais parce que car, c'est la même chose. UI, en anglais qu'en français. Donc ça va être bon 2 fois plus. Avec cet argent-là, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif des États-Unis, du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, Canada, États-Unis. On va enlever la frontière, finir la frontière. On va faire un grand recensement, voilà qu'on va pouvoir donner une certaine amnistie pour bâtir les 44, construire les 44 tunnels à travers le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, le Québec, le Canada, les États-Unis. Dans le cas d'une guerre nucléaire, on va faire un passeport commun. On va bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec. On va financer les gens au tourisme. Parce que moi, ça fait du bien. On va financer les gens au tourisme. On va aussi financer les gens à l'entraînement physique. On va bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec. On va bâtir les 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé, soit l'Armée du Dragon, soit la Légion, le collectif nord-américain pour la SSD. Pour la SSD, c'est Sécurité, Service, Défense. SSD, Sécurité, Service, Défense. SSD, Sécurité, Service, Défense. Et l'Armée de la déesse qui danse pour l'environnement, pour le nettoyage de l'environnement environnemental, pour le nettoyage de l'environnement, bien sûr. On va devoir faire pour le nettoyage de l'environnement, bien sûr, pour le Québec, le Canada, les États-Unis de côte à côte, puis pour l'éducation aussi, parce qu'il faut qu'on fasse l'action individuelle, parce que vous avez vu dans plein de mes vidéos, vous voyez qu'on regarde dans les poubelles, puis qu'est-ce qui se trouve dans les poubelles? C'est des choses qui devraient aller dans le recyclage. Fait que ça prend l'individu, puis ça prend le collectif, puis ça prend la TRD, théorie de la refusion, théorie de la refusion. La T, théorie R, refusion D de la dette, qui intègre dans de ma théorie, c'est intégrer la théorie d'intégration monétaire, ce qui est la théorie que les Européens ont faite par la création d'une banque commune. On va créer une banque centrale Canada-États-Unis, on va enlever la frontière, bâtir les 44 tunnels, construire plus de centrales au Québec, financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme. Fait qu'on va faire bien du bien pour le commun, prêter allégeance, prêter allégeance, vous sous le soleil, sous la lune, le pape, les étoiles, prêter allégeance. Vous êtes famille, les amis avec bénéfice seulement, faites attention ici parce que ça descend un peu, c'est un peu quand même creux, c'est brusque un peu quand on descend ici, fait qu'il va falloir juste que vous ayez un peu de prudence. Donc la TRD pour la création, pour mon rêve qui est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé, le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse pour les 10 provinces, 50 États et 3 territoires. Donc on va devoir faire la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour qu'on soit bien sûr intégré, puis pour qu'on ait une intégration totale ici dans le collectif de Civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. Je vous chante du Rock&Roll, les pompiers, les boulangers, de côte à côte, à travers le Québec, à travers les 63. Soyez bien sûr, si vous êtes millionnaire, financez, aidez les autres aussi. Soyez pas si égoïste. Je ne suis pas totalement égoïste. Je ne suis pas totalement pour moi-même non plus. J'aime bien des sucreries, j'aime bien le gâteau, j'aime bien le fromage, les saucisses, le bacon. J'aime bien vivre, bien voir des gens vivre bien, en santé, en sécurité. Puis c'est bien sûr pour la santé mentale, c'est important la gratitude, parallèlement à l'entraînement physique. Je suis venu voir mon docteur, la montagne, mon docteur, ma maîtresse, la docteur, la montagne, le docteur, ma montagne, la maîtresse, le docteur, la montagne, le docteur, ma maîtresse, docteur, montagne, la maîtresse. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Moi-même ici, c'est le docteur, la maîtresse, et je dois le faire moi-même de cet environnement où je suis ici. Donc, on va commencer un peu de cadence en anglais, ça va être. On va se passer, je vais juste m'étirer un peu, bien comme il le faut. On va commencer les cadence en anglais. Get ready for the cadence. Get ready, just gonna stretch a bit. Get ready for the cadence, rock and roll cadence. And hey, we're gonna get stretching a bit. I'm just gonna stretch. Is that going in the sun? Gonna stretch. Stretch left, stretch right. It's an in and out today. I'll tie my belt. Get ready for the cadence. Up we go. Towards the sun now. Towards the sun, the sun, the sun now. Salut! Cadence, let's go. Rock and roll for that cadence. Here we go, we're marching in the sun. And you know we gotta ones. And you know we gotta be on the sun rising that you see. Gotta see it, you and me. Gotta be dragging on me. Gotta get it singing for the butchers. Gotta clap it for the farmers. Gotta get it east and west. Gotta get it out the west. Gotta left and right and side. Gotta get it love for lovers. Gotta get it for the plumbers. Gotta sing that cadence. Farmers done construction, got a pebble in my eye. I got two, nobody dies. Got a pebble in my eye. I got two, nobody dies. Got a pebble in my eye. I got two, nobody dies. Let's go. For the construction workers, plumbers, electricians. Gotta rock and roll and sing that cadence. Gotta sing it for the farmers. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean for the 63. And for the SSD. For the legions, we are not some demons, we are dragons. For the legions, we are not some demons, we are dragons. For the legions, we are not some demons, we are dragons. For the legions, we are not some demons. We are dragons. For the legions, we are not some demons, we are dragons. Gotta go and gotta see that you're left and gotta be. Turn your right and crossing streets. Prudent that you gotta be. Gotta be and gotta see. Gotta left and right to sight. Gotta be and out of light. Gotta be and gotta see. As the horses of the police. I don't know and how to ride. Only thing I ride, steel toe boots. The only thing I ride, steel toe boots. The only thing I ride, steel toe boots. Alright. Or running shoes, or maybe go barefoot. If there's no glass broken in the shards. Sun is shining, that's the one. Gotta put some sunscreen. Ain't no need for me to scream. Gotta put some sunscreen. Ain't no need for me to scream. That's the horses of the police. Brothers and sisters in uniform, gotta sing and dragon please. Cadence for the army, dragon army for the 63. Coast to coast, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 horses, 6. Black water and a little bit of that golden sun. Gotta give it for the one. Look at the beautiful horses that you see. Horses of the police, horses of the police. Somebody gotta keep the peace. Peace with some push-ups, peace with some loving. Dragging on me sentence is the cadence. Dragging on me sentence, dragging on me sentence. That is our cadence. That's the horses of the police. Gotta do some push-ups. I'm the general rainbow dragon. I don't need to say please. Gotta get it for the butchers. We're marching for the plumbers, electricians, and the bakers. Gotta marching for the train conductors. For the train conductors. Gotta marching for the lovers, for the train conductors. Gotta see ready to be, gotta see ready to eat. Butchers gotta bake and please, gotta bake and squeeze. Restaurants, you know we tight. Fast for workers. Fast for workers. Hey, those flipping some of those burgers. Or it might be a cheeseburger. Hey, we gotta march and sing that cadence. For the daycare workers changing diapers. You know we gotta march and sing that cadence. For the daycare workers changing diapers. You know we gotta march and sing that cadence. For the daycare workers changing diapers. Gotta see him plus an A. As the name, we are not demons, we are dragon legions. We are not demons, we are dragon legions. Marching east and west and south. We're the north and roundabout. Marching east and west and south. Where the north is roundabout. Marching east and north and south. Where the north is roundabout. Gotta learn some French in Quebec. Gotta learn some French in Quebec. 1 out of 63, you know we plus Haywood at California. Montreal to San Francisco. Montreal to San Francisco. I don't know, and gotta pose, gotta be safety on the roads. Montreal to San Francisco. Gotta be safe and on the roads, be safe and on the road. Gotta get it so you know. Gotta get it for the left, gotta say it in the middle. Dragging on me cadence. We don't need to overpress the pedal. Hey, gotta learn the cadence. It's the dragging on me sentence. For the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the plumbers, electricians. And those in the daycare changing diapers gotta do some mathematics. On some more satellites and beamers. We need some uniforms, red and white and black. All equipped for SSD. Gotta finance that some trillions for the 63. Gotta finance us some trillions for the 63. To the 6th, we had the 7th. 6th Army, the 6th Army's contingency of the DOD, that is. Homeland Security, including the Canada, United States. Al-Qaeda, Montreal, Canada, United States fused. Gonna get the total security, total service, total defense. Cadence, Dragon Army created freestyle mode, property of the Dragon Army, and pledge your allegiance, and use only if you're an ally, or pledge your allegiance to our family, and that's how we rock and roll it from here over time to my headquarters is another drill with that, so I gotta get a little bit of that speed, because I don't wanna be on that late side, and that's how it goes, and that's how I gotta speed it up a little bit, because from here to my place takes a little bit of time, and I gotta just speed up those, speed up the motor. Sometimes that's what we gotta do. That's what we gotta get a U. For the cadence, for the left. That's what you gotta get it on the bless. That's what we gotta get it. For the left and right, we said it. That's what we gotta do. For the left and for the do. That's we gotta do it. Now we gotta do it. For the left and for the right. That's we gotta do and left. And you know we gotta bet. That you know we down set. And you know we left and right. And you know we ready to bite. And for baby says sound like That's what you gotta get to do. That's what you gotta do with that. Left and right and on the block. That's what you gotta do with sights. And you know we got a left. That's what we got a left. Left and right and on the sight. Gotta get it on the bite. Get in on the light. Get in on the left side. Gotta get up in the left. Left and right and left. For the Dragon Army sentence. That's we gotta get left. And you know we got left. And you know we gotta be. And you know we gotta see. C's and left and right. Gotta get it for the sight. That's what we gotta do. For the left and right and do's. For the left and right and blues. We gonna see you so you're screwed. Hey, we get dirty, get back clean. Hey, the Dragon Army at the service. We have Dragon Army at the service. We the Dragon Army that the service. So you know we get a service. That's what we gotta do. On the left and on the right. You know that's the army sights. That's what we gotta do and do. And you know we gotta bite of the snake ready to light, ready to sight. I'm gonna go through there because it's gonna be more practical for me to just drill it like a snake like that. Hey, 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 hey. Left and right and left. Dragon Army, I said. Left and right and left. Dragon Army, what we said. Hey, don't make a Dragon Army, need to shave. Need to shave. Need to shave. Heads up in the ready later. Heads up in the ready shade. That's what we need to meet some late. That's what we gotta do for the left. That's what we do for the right. For the side and for the left. You got a left. Got a right. Got a right and got a right. For the army sight. Got a left and right. For the army left and sight. Plumbers, electrician, welders. I gotta sing them some of that cadence. Butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors. Gotta sing them some of that cadence. Firefighters, plumbers, electricians. Gotta sing them some of that cadence. God it is for those who love us. For the lovers, for the youth. Gotta sing some of that Dragon Army cadence. For the lovers, for the youth. For the flora and the fauna. For the flora and the fauna. Hi, it feels like a hot summer. Although springtime still. Yeah, we sing it. We rock and roll. Cadence Army on the road. East coast to coast, ocean to ocean. As the Dragon Army cadence. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's the dragon army cadence. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's the dragon army cadence. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's the dragon army cadence. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's the dragon army cadence. So that you be and gotta see. On the left and gotta be. For the butchers, electricians, plumbers, nurses, and the doctors. Gotta give it firefighters. Gotta get it for the left. Gotta get it for the right. We don't gamble, we don't gamble. Gotta get it for the doers. Plumbers, electricians, nurses, doctors, firefighters. Gotta get that army cadence. And you know we on a sentence. Left and right and on the bout. Got a prudence that's allowed. Oh, we go down by here, man. I'll go down, man. Got a left and right and side. Gotta get it, that's allowed. Construction, electricians, plumbers. Gotta get it for the Hummers. Oh, there's the stairs. I'd passed them. Past the stairs, buddy. There they are. Hey, you know, we got the stairs. Anybody want to finance? I go up and down these stairs. Recording a video 300 times for $300. 300 times for $300. 300 times for $300. Dragon Army Funds. Public-private partnership. Pledge your allegiance. Allegiance to our family. Cadence. We go up and down the stairs. We each got a dragon's lair. We go up and down the stairs. We each got a dragon lair. Hey, we go up and down the stairs. We each got a dragon lair. Got us whole solid going down. You got the gravity pulling loud. Got a whole solid going down. We got the gravity going louder. Got a gravity pulling all down. Got the sound. Got the gravity pulling louder. That's what we got a sound. Hey, you know we gotta be humble, the prouder, humble. Dragon Army. General Integrated Body Training System. Able to do it. Dragon Zero, aka General Cuckold, aka Little Clit Dick, aka Dick Clit, aka Greatest General, greatest cuckold in the universe. Never say I wanna speak. 3-star, 4, 5-star generals of Canada, United States, NATO, NORAD, NATO, NORAD generals. Never said I wanna speak. Never said I wanna speak. Never say I wanna speak. Some rap. You gotta do a little bit of rap sometimes, eh? I got a rap for the Dragon Army. We for that SSD, we the good guys. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white, some of my dragons are black, white, some of my dragons are white, black. None of my dragons are born a dragon. We salute those who do their criminal redemption. We salute those who do their criminal redemption. We salute those who do their criminal redemption. Otherwise get a whip for the butchers, bakers, electricians, honest workers, firefighters, plumbers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, those making minimum wage. You know, we gotta spray. Gotta get it, even have them. Gotta get it with a balance, with a correction. Gotta love us. Dragonomy, look at those rocks, man. Rocks and C-U-B-U-C. Rocks and C-U-C-U-B. Gotta get it for you do is gotta get it for the lose. Gotta get it for the left. Gotta get it for the beautiful gardens, beautiful gardens.